Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll see what happens. We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I am a dissident.
Don't move. Move.
I'm saying no. Why you hear Palantir, 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 Palantir? It's not going to stop.
Seriously, we need to release the F-scene list.
Turns off.
I am not a church boy.
Turns off.
They're full-on vampires.
They hate our beef. They hate our beef. They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome, one and all, to a Tuesday matinee edition of the Do Dissidents podcast. Keaton Weiss here with Russell Dobula, of course.
Hello.
Thanks, everybody, very much for being here today. Appreciate you all. We got 657 strong in the YouTube chat. Start things off now. 672. Nice crowd to start things off here. 293 over in Rumble World. Thanks once again, everybody, for being here today. Russell is, really feeling that Knicks loss hard. We're really feeling it hard.
I almost couldn't get out of bed today.
I had to remind him because he called me this morning. He said, "Look, I can't do the show today. I'm too distraught." I reminded him, you took a month and a half off. I need you here today. I had to guilt him into showing up today. He wasn't going to show up. Wasn't going to do it.
Just didn't want to tell you I picked up the clap in Asia.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just the excuse. Exactly.
I watched a video yesterday. I didn't send it to you because I was afraid you might take it I'm calling you out or something. I was watching a video that got into the neurology of people who like sports and people who don't like sports.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it wasn't like insulting. It just basically said people who like sports, they get a dopamine hit
right
from that sense of belonging, and people who don't tend to get it from other places. Like they don't get it from that.
Yeah, no, I get that. Like, it's entertainment. I'm not like a huge sports fan. If I were a huge sports fan, I wouldn't be doing one of those. Yeah. But I appreciate baseball. I appreciate a good football game and a good basketball game. No, my dad's cousin, Jewish guy, because baseball fandom runs in the family. Don't forget, my dad grew up in the Bronx, golden age of the Yankees, basically. And so, a lot of Yankee fans, a lot of baseball fans. And he had this cousin who would tell him every time, like, we'd be at a gathering and a game was on and we'd be watching and, like, rooting on a team. He would say, "Do any of you guys have any money on this game?" We're like, "No." He says, "So then what do you care who wins?"
Well,
he didn't get it.
Well,
he's not wrong.
No,
he's
no.
Like, you guys have money on this? No, so what do you care?
Well, that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
I did like sports until I was 8. And because my hometown team were the Mets, my experience of sports was just that it's constant misery and disappointment.
Yeah, constant disappointment.
So I remember very clearly the day I watched baseball for the last time. I was like 8 years old. And my overriding feeling was like, why care about this? You can't do anything about it.
Right.
And that was it. I had no interest in it after that.
Once that realization hit, that was it. All right, folks. So we're figured to end the show about 4:15, at which point I will be premiering on my sister channel, The Shuffle Pod, my top 5 albums of 1997 countdown. 1997, really cool year, really fun year, very diverse array of selections here. So that's a fun one. So tune into that after the show. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll be redirected over there. 4:15 or 4:30, depending on how late we're running. Right now it's 4:15. I'll reschedule it if I have to, but that should be a fun one. I had fun recording that. This was the easiest one to do because I already had my top 5 set in stone before I even started. It was just a matter of ordering them and then figuring out which of the runners-up I wanted to kind of give a nod to. But fun episode, so tune in, youtube.com/ShufflePod. Go over there and hit the subscribe button if you have not already. Please and thank you very much. All right, shall we get started? I think
we shall.
All right, folks. So New York has Nick fever. Still has Nick fever. Little damper than it was 24 hours ago. But we're going to go back to when, as my co-host said, they were sweeping. Because they were on a 13-game win streak, and it was New York Knicks everywhere you go in New York. This guy here.
Hang on. So you don't use that expression in basketball if they take all the games? You don't.
Well, generally you save that word until after the sweep is complete.
I see.
You would say if they win in 4 games, they swept. Generally, you don't say they're sweeping as if like they're on the way to sweep. You would save it to the end. So you were technically not wrong, but it's just not something commonly used in that way. But anyway, they were on a 13-game win streak. New York City had Nick fever. This guy went viral for coining a new rallying cry in the era of modern sports. My mayor is Muslim, my bagel is Jewish, my Christian's Dior. Knicks in 4.
My bagel's Jewish, my mayor Muslim, my bagel's Jewish, my Christian Dior. Knicks in 4.
When it rains, it pours. All right, we'll cut that for copyright. But there you can see it was a party. Nick robots, Nick watch parties, Nick gatherings, Nick parties in the streets. Everywhere you went, it was Knicks. Even when they were on the road in San Antonio, you had massive watch parties all over the city, including here in Central Park. Here they are reacting to what essentially was the Game 2 victory moment, that missed shot at the end by San Antonio's star player. Here they are in Central Park. Positivity, community, camaraderie, joy in the air all throughout the city. Harlem was having watch parties on the street, literal block parties with chairs set up in the middle of the streets and big screens showing the games. Love was in the air until, Trump plans to attend Game 3 of NBA Finals at Madison Square Garden. Way to shit in the punch bowl, Donald Trump. And right away, people had a bad feeling about this. So here are rappers Cameron and Mace reacting to Donald Trump's announcement that he would be showing up at the Garden for the first home finals game in almost 30 years. The Knicks have not won a title since 1973. They have not been to the finals since 1999. This has been a big deal for New York. It has been a dismal decade in New York sports, meaning the past 10 years. The last New York team to win a championship were the New York Giants in 2012. Since then, we have not had a champion in any of the major sports. Sorry, WNBA and whatever that soccer league bullshit thing is do not count. Okay, Big Four sports. There's been a drought of championships. New York, huge town, huge market town, huge
misogynist
sports town. Yeah, yeah, exactly. But it's been dismal. The Yankees have not been able to get it done. Mets have been bad. Jets and Giants have been abysmal. Knicks have been getting better, but not able to seal the deal until this year. It looks like they have a great chance. And so there's a big deal. There's a big positivity in the air. Knicks fans are like Buffalo Bills fans, even though the Knicks have been perennial losers, their fans are just so enthusiastic and so loyal. And so to have them here, 13 wins in a row on this historic run, really a big thing for the city. And Donald Trump announcing, you know what, I'm coming to the game. Just kills the vibe all across the board. So here's Cameron and Mace giving their thoughts.
Might fuck it up is Trump coming to the game. Trump's coming out. Secret Service is coming. He fucking up all the watch parties. He says no watch parties.
I don't want Trump at the game. I don't want no new people at the game right now. Yo, whatever's been working, don't show up to the Garden and they lose the game. This is what I'm thinking right now. If you got the Knicks playing the way they playing, anything new could jeopardize what we've been seeing. It's just that. And people are going to blame you. People, if you think they hated Trump before, if he comes to this game and they lose, his presidency might be on the line in New York. They're just going to have a hard time, dialing in with Trump there because it breaks a lot of the things that are going on. Now, Trump has visited sports in the Garden before. But this is not the time. I think if you're Trump, you got to come to Game 4 if they win Game 3, but don't come to Game 3. Why?
Or even if they lose Game 3, come to Game 4. Because if they lose, then you're not going to be seen as the guy who blew the winning streak.
Blew the streak.
It's a good point. And
you
also
blew the sweep.
Yeah, you blew the sweep. Exactly. There you go. Getting it. And also, you come to Game 4, you let the city have, this is the first home championship game in almost 30 years. This is a huge occasion. Just let that happen without you there. And then come to Game 4, win or lose. Okay? Stephen Smith echoes this sentiment.
All right, so I'm probably not the only person who watches our show who is not into sports. So how does this work? They don't go back to San Antonio?
No, they go.
Games are here?
No. They play again in New York tomorrow.
Right.
Then they're back to San Antonio for Game 5, and then I don't know how it works.
What if
baseball,
there hadn't
it's a
been a
different.
Game 5?
If there
there has to be, but what if there hadn't been?
Well, then they would have just finished the series tomorrow in New York.
Just
if they
never
won
would have
both.
gone to San Antonio.
Right. If they swept, they would have won in 4 in New York tomorrow. Now they got to go back to San Antonio. Now, basketball works a little different than baseball. I'm more a baseball fan than a basketball fan. I don't know where Game 6 is if it goes to Game 6. I don't know if they come back here or if they stay in San Antonio and then back to New York for 7. I'm not sure about that. But I know they're in New York tomorrow. So here is Stephen A. Smith. Saying, this is ridiculous, selfish, narcissistic for Donald Trump to come to New York. He raised a different concern from Cameron and Mace, but an equally valid one.
A basketball segment. This president has no business showing up in New York City. I am dead serious. It is selfish. It is narcissistic. It is ridiculous that he is coming to this game. I would say the same thing if it were Obama, George W., Clinton. I don't give a damn. We went back to Reagan. This is not a football stadium in some space in Texas where you got a whole bunch of outlays and all of this. This is the Garden. This is Midtown Manhattan. You have any idea what the congestion is going to be like in New York City here? I get off my radio.
Well, that is true. That is true. So the watch parties are canceled, of course. The 34th Street, 8th Avenue, right near the Garden, that was lined with people. They had screens. They had people out there watching the game, celebrating. That was not to be. Ann Coulter says, of all the selfish, narcissistic things Trump has done, attending Madison Square Garden to see the Knicks play in person Monday night is the absolute worst. 20,000 attendees will be massively inconvenienced for all the extra security. The Knicks watch party at the Garden is canceled. Thousands of extra law enforcement officers will be required, paid for by taxpayers. Traffic will be a disaster. Also, he can sit in the Garden rather than watch the game on TV. Presidents ought to be willing to sacrifice once in a while. Yeah, could have sacrificed a little bit. Could have not been in the Epstein files. That's I think a little worse. But this is not good. This is definitely rude. This was definitely a very rude thing to do. This is not a nice thing. It's a very rude gesture. Very selfish, very inconsiderate. The good people of New York have spoken. Go Knicks, fuck Trump.
Fuck Trump! Go Knicks! Fuck Trump! Go Knicks! Fuck Trump! Go Knicks! Fuck Trump! Go Knicks! Fuck Trump!
Now, yes, the vibe was completely different. Completely different. It's been a party vibe in the city this whole week. Yeah. And look at the vibe here. The vibe here, completely different thing. Trump's America comes to Madison Square Garden. Here's this sports fan giving us a tour of the locked down facilities. Not a party atmosphere today.
Tip off, and we are at the most insane security operation I have ever seen. Let's take a lap around it. First thing, all of MSG is in a cage right now. It extends about maybe 60 feet beyond. What's up, man? How you doing? Can I help you? No? Okay, that's fine. Anyways, eyeballing it, this extends about 60 feet off the arena, and there's additional spaces blocked off beyond that too. All the way out beyond the Penn Station entrance, there is guardrails everywhere. But let's keep walking down this way. We already have Secret Service in the building. I've seen about 3 or 4 of them today. I don't even know if I can post that. And if you want to try to get inside, this is the notice up around it. You can pause to read. Of course, since this is so crazy, I'm nowhere near the only person documenting this. There is huge cameras everywhere around me. But what makes the security dynamic really interesting is beyond the finals, beyond Trump being here, this is still a major public transit hub right on top of MSG. If you didn't know any better, you would think people are coming and going into the arena right now, but this is the entrance into Penn Station. So between managing that crowd, managing the Knicks crowd, and managing protecting the President of the United States, it's a lot to juggle.
It's a lot to juggle. It's a lot to juggle. Looks like the COVID times. You went from party all the time, party everywhere, to spring of 2020. Darren Rovell says, these people have been waiting an hour to get into Madison Square Garden. Here's a first-person account. They routed everyone down 34th and 8th. Police barricade. Threw the metal detectors to a point about 200 feet from Madison Square Garden. Then they came and apologized and said they were confused, and instead we needed to exit the barricade and go to 34th and 7th. We walked there, and then a different set of police told us to go to 32nd and 6th. There, hundreds, if not 1,000 people wandering around in giant herds, not knowing where to go or how to get in. The police keep saying they don't know the protocol. Now, keep in mind, these people paid like $7,000-8,000 each to go to the game. It's like one of the most expensive events. It's like a Super Bowl ticket to go to this fucking game. And they can't get in without being shuffled around from place to place to place. Yeah, this is crazy. Getting into Madison Square Garden, wild right now. These are some sports podcasters. I think they do a Yankee podcast, but, New York fans, they're going to the Knicks game.
Yeah.
How to get into MSG, they said, I got to walk all the way to 32nd and 6th. When I just came back from 6. So that's the kind of night it is. They got this shit locked down, boy.
Now, 32nd and 6th is a ways away from the Garden because the Garden entrances, depending on where you enter, are between 7th and 8th. So your whole avenue, the avenues are kind of far apart in the city. To have people walking down to basically Herald Square and have the line start there, that is a big inconvenience.
They getting ready for
all right, so, as a New Yorker watching this, yeah, this kind of shit happens a lot in New York. People told me when I said, any other city I go to seems like a town because they're so much less populated. And they all told me, well, go to Asia and you'll see that level of crowd density. And they were right. They were right. Once you go into China, you see crowds like you would see in New York. There's a very big difference. They have not completely defunded their government, so they actually can manage crowds this size. This kind of utter chaos, yeah, that's some New York shit. They got all of these people, and they've got an underfunded government.
Yeah.
So you wind up having chaos, and they don't have good organization and command structures. So then you get like, oh, yeah, sorry, man. Sorry, yeah, they told me to send you here. You're going to have to go down there. That doesn't happen in China. In China, they're like, there.
You're
like, all right.
They should have brought in the Chinese army to
they
do crowd control for this game.
I'll show you when I drop the video, man. They literally have in Shanghai, they put on a show. Every time the traffic light changes, they change the guard. They do this whole changing of the guard thing, and then they stand there in a line to make sure people on the left are moving one direction and people on the right are moving another, and the soldiers stand there to make sure nobody crosses over.
Yeah, no, they should have had them here. Go over there. Go to 7th Avenue. Stupid man, pay $8,000, watch people bounce ball. Go over there, you'll get in.
You
Buy
go over
yourself a
there.
hot dog.
This is for we call it the stupider. The more expensive it is, the stupider people in the line.
Go buy a $25 hot dog
Oh.
when you're in there. Don't forget. Yeah.
I don't know. Entrance. You gotta come all the way over here to then go inside of MSG right now.
Yo, shout out to everybody out here, yo.
Oh yeah. Oh, how do we get in though? I agree. You agree?
Yeah, so that's the scene trying to get in. POV, you just paid $10,000 for a Knicks ticket, but can't get into Madison Square Garden. I mean, I don't feel any pity for people who spent this kind of money on a ticket. Like, hey, if you got that kind of money to drop on a ticket, then you don't have real problems. So this is more funny than anything else, but it is fucking rude to put people through this if you're Donald Trump. Like, it is a very inconsiderate thing to do.
Yes.
Extremely inconsiderate thing to do.
I mean, it's just so stupid. Jesus. Like, what did he think? Everyone was going to, like, applaud the king? Everyone was going to be happy to see him?
So Rob Markman quote tweets this and say, yeah, he's definitely getting booed. Yeah, like you really think you're going to be popular in there after what you put these fucking people through to get in for $10,000 a seat? Watch, crowds boo Trump as his motorcade arrives. So even before he got in the building, he was getting booed. FreedomNews.tv, only a scooter caster. No place like New York, man. I love this town. Inside the building.
That's why I can't get out of here, man.
That's right.
I'm like, I got a very Brokeback Mountain thing going on with this city.
Yeah.
I just can't quit you.
You can't quit it. How could you quit New York City? How could you? Inside the building, this was pretty brutal. They made the poor decision to cut to Donald Trump during the national anthem, which created the added insult of booing him loudly over the national anthem, which was being performed live in the room. Sucks for whoever was singing the national anthem. You know, you get a big break, you get to sing the national anthem at the finals, and then people fucking start loudly booing in the middle of the song because they show the president. But here it is. Oof. That is pretty loud stuff. Those are pretty pronounced moves. Now, Spike Lee, one of the most prominent Knicks fans in New York City, trolled the president himself wearing a Pope Leo jersey, sitting courtside. An enemy of Donald Trump, Pope Leo. So Spike Lee throwing some shade at the president there with that very deliberate wardrobe choice. Now, remember, Spike Lee wore the pro-Palestine garb to the NBA All-Star game, which, as we know, really angered Wilt Chamberlain, who did have comment on this. Wilt Chamberlain says Spike Lee should be ashamed of himself to insult the commander-in-chief at a time of war. Is disgraceful behavior. I'm Yisrael High.
You know, this is what happens. He's been rich too long. He's
been rich too long.
He doesn't relate to the Palestinian people and their oppression.
Yeah. And, you know, he doesn't comment on much, but for some reason, Spike Lee gets under his skin. You know, he's very opinionated when it comes to Spike Lee. Really did not appreciate that. So,
because he was originally supposed to be cast as the lead of Jungle Fever.
Yeah.
And Annabelle Ciara said, "Nah, not with that cock. I'm not working with that." She said, "I can't work with that."
Exactly. That's
like having another supporting actor in the room.
Yeah, right. Is that thing in the union? So Wilt Chamberlain issuing a rare public statement. So not only did he get booed in the arena.
Nicely done, sir. Nicely done.
For those who are completely lost, it's an inside joke here to do this in his podcast. You got to check the back catalog to find the meaning of that. Wu-Tang for the Children tweets out, LMAO, Trump also brutally booed at the Bryant Park Knicks watch party. Yes, the watch parties all throughout the city. Brutal at a bar in Brooklyn. Okay, so he ties up traffic. He shuts down all the watch parties. He makes it almost impossible to get into the game for people spending tens of thousands of dollars to get to the game. He gets to the game. He's booed inside the building. He's booed all over town. But at least he enjoyed the game, right? At least he had himself a grand old time at the game. Oh, no, he falls asleep at the game. So on top of all that, he sleeps through the game. Just in, Donald Trump has fallen asleep in Madison Square Garden watching the NBA Finals. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
The guy with him is sleeping, too.
Yeah. They're just crazy. Just crazy. I love this reaction. Iran watching. Yeah. So I chimed in, causes chaos entering the venue, shuts down surrounding streets, jinxes team, and falls asleep. Because guess what, folks? The Knicks lost. 115 to 111.
And just barely, too.
Yeah, just barely. They could not land a three-pointer for the first half of the fourth quarter. 0 for 9 from 3. To begin the fourth quarter. If they just sunk a couple of those, they probably would have won. But, bad vibes in the building, tension in the air. Tension is a killer in sports. You got to be loose. You got to be confident when you're playing sports. Tension makes you tighten up, fucks up the whole vibe. This is absolutely Donald Trump's fault. There's no doubt about it. It's Donald Trump's fault. 115 to 111, snapping a 13-game losing streak after all of that. And yeah, Knicks fans placing blame where it belongs. This lady has it right, 100%.
On Trump. He came here, he could have been anywhere in the fucking world. He had no business being over here. Then he brings all his bad fucking Epstein juju bullshit up in here. That's why we lost. It's okay, we'll recover. But this motherfucker gotta go. Like yesterday, got to go. And don't even get me started on the fucking big ass baguette over here between him and Castle.
Speaking of Epstein juju, Epstein Jew, if you will, there's an Epstein juju right there. Howard Lutnick sitting courtside at the game, too. They just brought all of the negative energy that they could to this game. There's Howard Lutnick sitting courtside. Yep, here's more Knicks fans very upset.
Trump. I blame Trump. For the simple fact that we won 13 consecutive games, and as soon as Trump show up, all shit goes to...
I'm not gonna lie, I was really into him being like...
So I don't think it was Trump's fault, but the aura, like the fact that they had to show him on the jumbotron, everybody was booing him. Like we shouldn't even have to do that. We should be cheering. We should be doing all that.
That's exactly right. New York Knicks lost 115 to 111 to the San Antonio Spurs, who they play again this week. So Donald Trump was asked about his time at the game. Did you have a lovely time, Mr. President? Everybody loved having you. It was such a pleasure hosting you here in New York City. Did you enjoy yourself? What did you think of that reception you got in the room?
Donnie at the game?
I did not, no.
What did you think of the reception you got from the Knicks fans tonight?
I thought great. I mean, I thought it was amazing, actually. You mean when they had the camera on me? I thought it was very good, yeah. It was certainly amazing. It was It was, I think, mostly cheers. It was.
Yeah, mostly cheers.
It was loud and it was very enthusiastic.
Mostly cheers, he says. You be the judge of that. And of course, he is asked about the comments from Stephen A. Smith, basically saying that he was wrong to have gone. Here he is making his trademark IQ quip in regards to Stephen A. Smith running for president.
He said he would blame you if the Knicks lost the game. How do you respond to that?
I think he's a nice guy, but you need a certain aptitude to run for president. You need a high IQ. I'm not sure that Stephen has that. I don't think he does, actually.
Says the guy who I would say there's a better than 50% chance believes he was cheered at that stadium.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Talking about Stephen A. Smith's IQ. If you remember on Sunday night, I started to say it and then I stopped myself because I said, I don't want to say it. I don't want to jinx it. But at that point, I felt I had committed. And so I just said, man, I'm afraid they're going to lose with him in the building. I saw it coming.
You did. You called it.
I saw it coming. You can call that superstition. You can call it vibes. You can call it energy. But some people take this, more seriously than others. But it's true. Sports, you have to be relaxed to perform well at sports. Tension in the air is not good for performing in a big sports game. The best pitchers are the ones who get in a zone, they get in a rhythm, they don't aim the ball, they are loose, they're relaxed, they see the catcher's mitt and they throw it. Same thing with football, same thing with basketball. You cannot have those kinds of negative vibes so pervasive throughout the room and expect to perform as well as when you're loose. I'm sorry. There's tension in the air. You fucked up the whole vibe. The whole city had a really nice thing going for the first time in a while. Part of what was nice about it is it was an escape from all the misery and horror that you, Mr. President, have brought upon this country this past year and a half. That's part of what I think people are enjoying about the Knicks on this historic run. And you come and you ruin the whole fucking thing. And I knew they were going to lose. I said it on Sunday. I wanted it because, people blame people. You don't want to be the first person to come out and jinx something. But I saw this coming. I blame him 100%. Obviously, it was his fault. And now they're up 2-1. So they got a chance to, get back on track tomorrow with him not in the room. I guess the watch parties will be back on. I think New York is glad to see him go.
It's incredible the level of clueless narcissism you would have to even do that.
Right.
To even think that's going to be welcome. And this is also the result of whacking anybody who would ever contradict you. Because any normal presidency, there would have been several people in the room who would have said, no, that's a really bad idea. It's going to be extra security. It's going to be very unpopular with the fans. You might get booed for creating extra problems. No, you don't want to put yourself in that position, Mr. President. Who's going to tell him that? Hegseth? Who's going to stand up and say that? So yeah, man. Yeah, Cash is going to say, no, I don't think it's a good idea.
I don't think it's a good idea.
No. You're talking about people that won't even release the Epstein files. So yeah, you're talking about a deranged narcissist surrounded by yes men and women. There's no one to tell him this is a bad idea. And he doesn't have the self-awareness to realize. I can only imagine that in his mind, he thought he's going to be cheered. he thought, these are my people.
Yeah.
I'm in New York. It's working class sports fans. They're going to love me.
Yeah. No, he really is like that guy. You go to a gathering, you go to a party, and, everyone's, I won't say often, but it is, occasionally the case where you go to a party and there's a guy there who no one wants there. And it just kind of brings the whole mood of the gathering down.
Yeah,
but the guy has no awareness of the fact that people don't want him there. Trump was like the Michael Tracy at this event. Just shows up completely oblivious to the fact that, just making it awkward, just bringing down the vibe in the room. And what Stephen A. Smith said there is true. I mean, logistically, it's fucking hard to get the president in and out of Madison Square Garden.
Well, just not
on a
having the
weekday.
self-awareness to realize that.
Exactly.
He's a native New Yorker. You know what kind of chaos you're going to sow going to Madison Square Garden. Like he said, it's not one of these stadiums out in the middle of the country you'd have in Texas.
Right.
This is Midtown Manhattan. You know what kind of a logistical nightmare that's going to cause.
Yeah.
It's hard enough to even have the games there.
Exactly. And it's not a Sunday afternoon. There's regular weekday rush hour. You're talking about arriving there, between 6 and 7 o'clock on a Monday night. It's already a snarled mess. Plus, you got the game. Plus, you got now a presidential motorcade coming in and all the security that comes with it. No, I mean, what's a disaster? And you're right. Only a narcissist as clueless as Donald Trump would, get himself in a situation like that. And I think, you're right. A big part of it is that he just did a purge of anyone who would tell him, you know what, maybe just, watch it at the White House or, have a watch party somewhere.
Record a little TikTok video.
Yeah, exactly. Record a TikTok video.
You want to insert yourself into this? That's the way to do it.
Exactly. So what a disaster. But New York Knicks still alive, still favored to win, I will say. All right. Bronx Comrade says, happy Tuesday. Dem primary is coming. The criminal DNC is screwing with Jose Vega. If he doesn't win, I hope he gets name recognition for the general. Well, I think he's already got name recognition for the general in a big way. He recorded another debate with Michael Blake yesterday, by the way. And so that's going to air, I think, on City TV tonight, and there should be clips from that coming pretty soon. Matt from Wisconsin, VP at the diner, potato soup with ham, tuna fish on rye, bagel, extra poppy seed, and a slice of apple pie. Thank you. Jay Core, Facebook is flooded with pro-Israel pages last 2 weeks. Every comment is anti-Israel. Interesting dynamic. Interesting.
Is it more so than usual? Maybe. I've been telling more people to look out for German shepherds who show up on my page.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe there are more.
Mark Puglisi says, I'm like you, Russ, always hated sports. It was downright stigmatizing. I think my older bro was such a jock, it turned me off. Interesting.
I definitely grew up in a sports neighborhood, blue-collar neighborhood. Everybody was into the Jets. My best friend was actually a big Dallas Cowboys fan.
Oh, interesting.
Broke the mold.
It's funny you say that, Mark Puglisi, because my uncles, my mother had 2 younger brothers. One was just a little younger than her, and one is considerably younger than her. And the middle child brother is huge into, sports, hockey, football, everything. But then her other brother, not interested at all. And maybe it is that older brother thing. Could be. Freddie X, I try to save my one per show click on the like button for the filthiest joke. So what do you say we sneak in a little felching content for a guy who's got the afternoon off? Free the Hormuzians. All right, we'll see if we can slip something in there. I thought that Will Chamberlain one was pretty good, though.
Yeah, I stuck in some dirty jokes there.
There you go. Yeah, I think that was like-worthy. Virtuoso, say funny you should say fans literally have money invested into these sporting events. That's right. Folks donate $5 to do dissidents bet and get $200 in bonus credit. Voids are prohibited. Good one, Virtuoso. Virtuoso's a Knick fan. We got some Knick fans in the chat. I see them. My small part to make the dream of the Piers Morgan Bridge become as real as the Trump peace president. Thank you, Cha-Cha Daddy. Black Spock, go NYCFC 2021 champs. That's what I said. The soccer club thing doesn't really count. I'm going to count major teams. Basketball, football, hockey, baseball. Joe H135, a coworker, and I were recently talking about our concerns over AI, and he recommended I listen to Mark Andreessen on Rogan.
Oh, my God.
I like the guy, but man, well, that'll make him feel better.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that'll make him feel better. That'll make sure that'll reassure him everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Black Spock says, "Hope Knicks can do it. I was 3 years old when they last won. It's been too long." See, like I said, we got some Knicks fans in the chat. I think they'll be all right. As long as JD Vance doesn't come on Wednesday, I think they'll be good. Nayam, it turned to Baal Square Garden. Right? Exactly. Should have had a statue of Baal in the overhang. Yeah, Just completely fucking ruined it.
Could have borrowed it from the First Church of Satan.
Nina Kant, Mr. Burns to Smithers, are they booing me? Smithers says no, they're saying boo worms. Ha, good one. Kenman G says, in fairness to Chamberlain, of the 10,000 women he slept with, 5,000 were Jewish, probably an influence. Good one, Kenman. All right, we're going to keep on keeping on here. The theme of the first half of the show is losers. Losers. Talking about a lot of losers today. Got another loser to talk about right now.
There's a little piece we call pratfall.
Yes.
So you might have heard, Nithya, I'm sorry, I'm not an Angelino if I'm mispronouncing that. Nithya Raman edges out Spencer Pratt, advances to LA mayor runoff against Karen Bass. A lot of people are really shocked that the mercurial crystal obsessed rich kid from the hills registered as a Republican and obsessed with dog rape, not by the IDF, but by Skid Row homeless, didn't place. They didn't place in the mayor's race. This is really, really shocking. And a lot of them apparently have picked up a copy of this. This book's going around. Everything I Don't Like is Rigged. A book for weird, whiny bitches. Right? The engine is rigged. So here he is in an appearance on Fox talking about how all his supporters are actually Democrats.
Registered Republican, but my supporters are all Democrats because Los Angeles is all Democrats. All the people financing me are Democrats. All the meetings I take every day are Democrats. Democrats are very angry with what happened to Los Angeles. They were fed a bunch of lies by Mayor Bass, who said she was going to literally solve homelessness. She was going to do all these things she didn't do. So all of the people that put her actually in office are now behind me. So it's a nonpartisan race. There's no letter next to either of our names because the mayor is not supposed to represent a party. They're supposed to make sure your moms are safe, your houses don't burn down, and your tax money is going to your infrastructure, not to fund drug addicts.
Okay. All right. Well, let's test that theory. From Chris Evans, Spencer Pratt has been eliminated from the Los Angeles mayor's race. Here's a list of the celebrities who humiliated themselves by endorsing him. Let's see all these Democrats who endorse Spencer Pratt. Oh, hang on. Got to go to the next slide. There we go. Now I can see it. Joe Rogan got Mark Andreessen's dick out of his mouth, I guess, long enough to mouth an endorsement. Dennis Quaid, James Woods. Oh yeah, big lefty there. Meghan McCain. David Foster, don't know who that is. This is the weirdest one. I think she's just a nut, this one. So Amber Rose is like an Australian non-binary lesbian actress, singer. She was on Orange is the New Black. But what's funny is like the kind of people who actually would unironically support Spencer Pratt, they hate her. They hate her. She made fun of the Batman suit when she played Batgirl for a season. And she attacked Sydney Sweeney for playing a lesbian boxer while being perceived as MAGA adjacent. I think she's kind of crazy. I think she's just kind of crazy. Like, it just doesn't even make any sense. Perez Hilton, Rob Schneider, Adam Carolla, porn star Paris Hilton, former porn star. Billy Bush. This is quite a lineup of Democrats that came out and endorsed Spencer Pratt. And a lot of these people. Oh, Jeb Bush, Elon Musk. Musk. No surprise there. Steve Hilton. Yeah, no, that's a lot of Laura Ingraham. A lot of Democrats. A lot of Democrats endorsed this guy. I can't believe this guy couldn't win in an overwhelmingly Democrat city. But here he is. Here's one of his campaign ads.
Bass lives. You notice something? Or here, where Nithya Raman's $3 million mansion sits. They don't have to live in the mess they've created where you live. This is where I live. They let my home burn down. I know what the consequences of failed leadership are. That's why I'm running for mayor. For my sons and the rest of us Angelinos that want to stop these corrupt politicians from destroying our city. We are going to get the golden age of Los Angeles.
We're going to make Los Angeles great again. All right. Now, this is what I will say. Karen Bass is like living wallpaper. It's amazing to me that she got as far as she has in politics. So here's just a little clip of her.
Says, please vote for me, because our choices are a Trumpster named Spencer Pratt, or a councilwoman who has never produced for our community. That's it.
Oh. I just kind of nodded off. Yeah,
and we're back. We're back.
And we're back. It's amazing to me that this woman is the mayor of Los Angeles just because she's such an awful politician. That's setting aside policy or anything else. Now, Spencer Pratt, very much like our current president, did reality TV for years. He's good on camera. I mean, compared to this, Jesus. I mean, she's a black hole of charisma. She's an absolute non-entity. She doesn't exist. She disappears in front of the camera. However, this might be part of why the avatar of the common man thing didn't quite work for him. This is from Jody Chase here, posted this. I will not be fooled by these people anymore. Spencer Pratt is literally a reality TV celebrity who became famous on the hills, lived in Pacific Palisades, and owned a multi-million-dollar home before it burned down. Reports say he and Heidi bought the property for about their relationship, by the way, was like a main plot point on that show, for about $2.5 million in 2017, and it was later valued around $3.8 million. So when I see him making videos talking about their mansions and pointing to a trailer like he's suddenly one of the regular people, I'm not buying it. This is the part I don't understand. He came from wealth, lived among wealthy people, and spent years in the celebrity world. Now we're supposed to believe he's the outsider who's going to save Los Angeles? Sorry, but I've heard the script before. Politicians want power. Celebrities want influence. Most of them are selling a story. I'm done treating any of these people like they're going to save us. Democrats and Republicans are nuts. I mean, that should be the post-duopoly manifesto right there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very, very, very well said. So, okay, why did Rahman win? Well, part of the reason is the same reason that Spencer Pratt even got anywhere in this election. Karen Bass is a terrible candidate. All you had to do was give Angelinos another Democrat to choose from, and they're going to go to them before they're going to go to Spencer Pratt. Now, if no credible Democrat had emerged, Karen Bass is so awful. He definitely, obviously, would have been the runoff. Could he have won? I mean, there are so many obstacles in this Trumpian moment to a guy like that becoming the mayor of Los Angeles. It still seems unlikely. But as soon as you got a real alternative to Bass, who's not him, of course he placed third. Of course he did. So there's a little bit of how she won. From all accounts, she ran a good campaign. Rahman spent her time crisscrossing the city, going to dozens of events and zeroing in on renters and younger voters, groups she viewed as her base, i.e., she did an AOC. She ran an AOC campaign. AOC, whatever you think about her, she ran a good campaign. She knocked on doors, used up a lot of shoe leather, and motivated a group that usually does not vote to knock out the old mummies who were keeping Joe Crowley in office in her district. Her team also navigated the city's complex matching funds program, which quickly secured $1.25 million in taxpayer funds to power her campaign. Rahman attended nearly 100 community meet and greets, her political team said. Those included numerous sessions with restaurant owners, including one in Echo Park, a Families for Nithya event in South LA, and a comedy show at Upright Citizens Brigade. Her husband is a very well-regarded television writer, so she has a lot of contacts into that world. Pratt made a lot of noise, quote, Pratt made a lot of noise and did a lot of television and got a lot of social media amplification while she was out actually campaigning, meeting with voters, canvassing, said Mike Bonin, a progressive former city council member who now runs the Pat Brown Institute for Public Affairs at Cal State LA. That matters. In the end, Rahman accomplished two crucial goals: make herself better known to Angelenos outside her Hollywood Hills Center district, while also framing Pratt as someone whose views were radically out of step with LA voters. While Bass largely floated above the fray, Rahman worked to amplify Pratt's political views, linking them to President Trump and the far right. During a freewheeling debate on NBC4 Los Angeles, she said Pratt, who had been portraying the city as a dystopian hellscape, was offering a, quote, MAGA Republicans' idea of what Los Angeles looks like, unquote. Now, listen, there's a long time dislike between Los Angeles and New York, Angelenos for New York, New Yorkers for Los Angeles. I have always found Los Angeles to be a dystopian hellscape, but nobody likes to be told that their city is a dystopian hellscape. It's probably not the best message to run on, not unless you're running in a very red district. Like, those voters do tend to like that message, that you're living in a dystopian hellscape. But that doesn't usually play as well in Democratic districts. You're living in a dystopian hellscape. So Trump actually, right in the middle of this was the best thing he could have done for Pratt's campaign. Had a complete meltdown on Meet the Press about election rigging.
The election was rigged. It was a dirty election. And it's happening again right now in California.
Presented evidence.
It's happening
that the
right now in
2020
California.
Rigged.
Right now, look at what's happening in California.
To that?
It's
the
4
Republicans
days.
are doing well in
California. No, they're not. They're dropping fast because it's a rigged election. Let me tell you, it's 4 days. And they aren't even close to coming up with it. You know why they're doing that? Because they're cheating on the election.
Do you have evidence to support
all
that?
I have to do is look. All I have to do is look. And I listen. And I listen to people. And let's see what happens.
We don't need no stinking evidence.
That's how they count the votes in
Do you
California.
think it's appropriate that they have an election and 5 days later they're nowhere close to picking a winner?
State and local officials acknowledge they are slow. They're urging.
No, they're crooked.
They're urging the votes to be counted quickly. That's how they vote in California.
They're crooked, just like you're crooked. Your press is crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked.
To be fair, I'm not crooked, but let's
Really?
Let's
Well,
continue.
you play right into their hands. Then.
Let's continue.
You're either crooked or you're stupid. You play right into their hands with this rap. You know that these elections are rigged. Your network knows that they're rigged. You know that I won an election in a landslide, and I got 94% bad press.
But, Mr. President,
you know why I
you've
got
never
that?
presented
Because you have no
evidence.
credibility.
But you've never presented evidence that it was rigged. Let's keep talking about. I want to talk about Todd.
You have more evidence. There's more evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
Your
about
elections in this country. We're like a third world country. Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC and CBS and CNN.
But Mr. President,
Hang on, CBS.
Yeah,
I thought they
Let's
were.
call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please.
I think he's just
traveled
used to
all the way
including them.
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I've sat in the rain with
I know. I
I've sat in the
traveled
rain
all the
with
way
you
to
for an hour,
Wisconsin.
on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time.
It
You
smells
wanna
like
straighten
shit
out
in
your
here.
press,
What is it?
because you know what?
Chickens, horses in here? What do they have in here?
What is this?
What is this?
He worked with livestock. I got ringworm once. I don't like being around this kind of thing. Yeah, so he walked off when asked for evidence. So he said there's more evidence than has ever been presented. Well, his own handpicked judges didn't think so. They didn't think so. At least 9 Trump-appointed judges or Supreme Court shortlisters have declined to bolster his claims of election fraud. None have ruled in his favor. It's pretty strange if there's this overwhelming evidence that the election was rigged against Trump. Couldn't be that he did everything but climb up on the desk in the Oval Office during a press conference and wipe his ass with an N95 mask in the middle of a pandemic. That couldn't be the reason that Joe Biden won. No, it was rigged, even though his own handpicked judges have ruled against him repeatedly. This grifting scumbag, Brett Weinstein, who really likes to run away from the fact that he was a very full-throated MAGA cheerleader until that became bad for his brand, and now he'll occasionally be like, I don't think they should be setting the dogs on the prisoners like that. That's really bad. I'm not one of them.
Yeah.
The rigging of the LA mayoral primary is obvious. Now, this is a guy who wants you to respect him for being scientific, for being a scientist, for being numbers-based. Outrage should be independent of party. And that's not what I'm seeing. What's wrong with you, blue team people? Do you not understand what it means? Snap out of it and stand up for your neighbors, your country, and the West. See, this guy, listen, man, at least have the courage of your grift. Don't try to have it both ways, motherfucker. You got to do this IDW shit. Commit to the role. Ginger Man, what's obvious is that you are deluded into thinking a reality show clown with no experience running as a Republican in a city where Kamala Harris won 75% of the vote could possibly get more than third place against 2 Democrats. Yeah. But another grifting genius here, Meghan McCain. Lucky girl, Meghan McCain. For whatever it's worth, people in my life who have never even spoken about stolen elections in any capacity are now saying this about California. Well, if the people you know are saying it, there must be something to it. Tommy Viator. Wonder if that's because there's a massive right-wing disinformation campaign to spread this bullshit. Yeah, that might be it. And really, this is what makes this insane. Here is Harry Enton explaining what the numbers looked like leading into this election for Bass v. Rahman versus Bass v. Pratt.
Los Angeles Democrat Karen Bass. With us now is Chief Data Analyst Harry Enton. What am I talking about here?
Yeah, this is the dumbest conspiracy theory I have ever heard, because the Democratic establishment and Karen Bass wanted Spencer Pratt in the runoff. They don't want any part to do with Nithya Rahman. Why is that? Because just take a look here. Okay, mayor runoff polls, Bass versus opponent versus Pratt. Bass would have crushed Pratt by 18 points. That's what the polling showed. Look at how she does against Nithya Rahman, on the other hand. Rahman is ahead by 4 points. Bass has a real race on her hand if, in fact, Rahman is the one who advances. And, of course, the Democratic establishment is backing Karen Bass. But versus Spencer Pratt, she was crushing him. She wanted to face Pratt. She wanted nothing to do with Rahman. That's why these conspiracy theories, simply put, make no sense, people.
He's right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, see, this is the thing. We are veterans of the Bernie Sanders campaigns here. It's not that we don't think elections are rigged. We experienced it ourselves. But yeah, Enton, when you're right, you're right. What's the motive? If you want to prove a crime, you need to find a motive. There was a very obvious motive, Bernie v. Hillary and Bernie v. Biden, for them to rig elections. What would your motive be here to rig the election in a moment when Mamdani-like figures are winning elections? Why would they hate this? There's something I think a lot of conservatives still don't understand, even though we've been trying to impress this on them for a long time. A lot of people have. They hate anyone to the left of Francisco Franco. Do you understand that? The Democratic establishment would always rather have Spencer Pratt or Donald Trump in office than to have a Bernie Sanders or a Mamdani. They would always rather have Andrew Cuomo, look, just don't finger blast anyone on camera and we're good, right? Rather than to have a Mamdani. So in the end, they would much rather have faced off against Spencer Pratt, who, whatever Joe Rogan tells you between filleting oligarchs, there's absolutely no way this guy could win in a final count. So at that point, when you're presented with that, it's always funny how they come up with a narrative, to make that work logically. So here's what they came up with. He won the second spot, even if he was facing an uphill battle to become mayor, voters would have heard and represented. That is the point of elections. Bass decided it would have caused more political damage to her own career in the next 5 months to face a challenger who had supporters making unflattering AI videos, reminding the public of her incompetence. I know, you can't make this shit up. Which resulted in his home being burned down.
Oh, my God.
Bass should have faced him instead of cheating. Now she looks like a coward. The problem when you screw real voters, they don't move on. She will not have a peaceful 5 months. And this is not like cherry pick. This is what they're running with.
Well,
because how do you explain it otherwise? You have to come up with some motive. Well, and that's the motive. No, well, you know what's really going to hurt her career when she loses in November, which, in my opinion, she probably will, because she's fucking awful.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we talk about. We say people spend
and
too much
not
time.
a statement of support of her opponent. Her opponent, they're millionaires too. She's from a very wealthy background. She's DSA backed. Apparently, a further left candidate ran against her. The DSA predictably helped to crush. So that's no endorsement of her opponent, but she'll probably win because Karen Bass is a joke.
Yeah, who knows? Ramen may even peel off some of the chuds here who are really upset that they thought Karen Bass rigged the primary in favor of the more electable general election candidate. Like, that's what makes absolutely zero sense about it. It's not just that they'd rather have Pratt in office than someone like Ramen. They'd rather run against Pratt because they're almost guaranteed to beat him. So there's absolutely no reason why the Democratic establishment would rig it against Pratt, who obviously they want to run against in the general. But that is just what we mean when we say people are too online. Because the idea that, oh, yeah, no, she just couldn't handle the AI videos that made her look bad for the next 5 months. Well, you think people are going to stop making AI videos that make her look bad in the past? Like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah, that is very much the online bubble. And also remember, for us, we have disdain for the DSA, but the establishment has more disdain for the DSA. That's too left for them.
Right.
That's too left for them. For the DSA candidate to beat the establishment candidate, that's too much. They would much rather have Spencer Pratt than to have any DSA-backed candidate in office. So a little more of the Chud meltdown. Fake news CNN. CNN is a tyrannical disgrace, taking DNC orders to cover up cheating. We saw them claim 2020 was clean and fairest, yet now proven stolen via investigation. It's proven. It's proven. Okay, so this is really interesting. This is why I wanted to stop for a second and look at it. Here's another one. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the math here. All right. Well, let's. Okay, so you got these memes floating around. Now, I think everybody watching, you do understand there are people paid to spread disinformation online, right? Like we all agree on that, right? There's no sourcing on these at all. No sourcing. You have really, really extreme claims that, the swing of the vote, which happens all the time in elections, it depends on what county you're counting the ballots from, that very often causes very drastic swings. Everybody, if you're a politics junkie, you've watched enough elections where when 5% of the vote was in, this person had like 90% of the vote and they wind up losing by a considerable amount. Depends on where the votes you're counting are coming from. It says, what? It's like a 10,000 to 1 chance for this swing. Okay, man. Hey, I'm game. I'll look into it. Give me a source. There's no sourcing. There's no sourcing on this at all. These are fake numbers that they put out online in a very credible looking package, like it's really authoritative, so that chuds will share it to reinforce a narrative. Is absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit. You know what does have sourcing? This. Wagner James. It's super mysterious that an unqualified MAGA-aligned reality TV star would get utterly trounced in LA unless you look at how the OG MAGA candidate performed in LA just 2 years ago. And we were all told by MAGA that the 2024 vote was not rigged. Okay. Kamala Harris picked up 75% of the vote, and she was fucking awful. She was an awful candidate. So why would you think it's rigged? Like, why would they have to rig it? Well, I think this is why they think that. And I think maybe this and some other election results are a teachable moment. I believe we made this tweet of the year in 2024 for our New Year's Eve special edition. Elon Musk, you are the media now. Well, reports of independent media coming of age and becoming the voice of the people, turns out that was greatly exaggerated. You know what actually happened? Donald Trump is very lucky in his enemies, and he had the table lined up perfectly for him. You got a sundowning old man melts down in a debate and is replaced 90 days out of the election with the most unlikable candidate since the last person he beat, Hillary Clinton. You're talking about arguably a worse candidate than Hillary Clinton. You're talking about a black identified woman who was losing to Mayo Pete in fucking South Carolina in polling. She was going to lose to Mayo Pete in her black stronghold that she was counting on. That's why she dropped out before she even got to New Hampshire when she was running for president. She was going to be completely humiliated. That's who Trump beat. And the first time Hillary, we don't need to litigate that. I mean, if Hillary Clinton had not met a guy named Bill Clinton, you never would have heard of her. She would have been a lawyer in some white shoe firm somewhere, and she would have just retired with millions of dollars. There's no way on talent she would have gotten into politics. That's who he beat. It's not the Joe Rogan effect. It's not the podcasters made Trump president. It's any credible Democrat would have beaten Donald Trump in either election. Anyone who was not as awful as the two that he ended up facing.
And also, just very quickly, he didn't beat her in the landslide that people remember. Yes, he won all 7 swing states because the margins just tipped to one side. He won, I have it up, he won Georgia by 2. He won North Carolina by 3. He won Michigan by 1.5. He won Pennsylvania by 1.5. He won Wisconsin by, not loading, but you get the point. Like, it wasn't this route across the board.
It was in the Electoral College, not
in the Electoral College, because those states all tipped one way by very small margins. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's running against Kamala Harris.
That's against Kamala Harris. Yeah.
Like, this is what I mean. Any credible Democrat, anyone, you could have run Dennis Kucinich. He'd be your president right now.
Right.
Like anybody other than the people they had running, pretty much, could have brought the case to Donald Trump and just torn apart his entire argument for being president. They managed twice to run 2 of the only people in national politics who could have lost to Donald Trump. So we are the media now? No, you're not. No, you're not. And I think this is why so many people were convinced that Spencer Pratt was a thing, because that happened in 2024, right? And they made a false connection. Well, it's because Trump went on Rogan. No, it's not because Trump went on Rogan. It's because Trump was running against Kamala Harris. That's why he won. So Mike Solana, nobody finds Pratt's loss suspicious. Well, that's overstating it. But when the distant third place candidate breaks down in tears on election night with what is basically a concession speech, then overwhelmingly dominates everyone for days in harvested mail-in ballots, yes, that looks bad. Okay, so there's another thing, the idea that she actually conceded. There's Glenn. People keep repeating that Nithya Raman conceded on election night, weeping as she did so, to prove even she knew she lost, and thus only fraud saved her. When and where did she concede? She cried briefly when addressing her 10-year-old twins. Quote her concession. Yeah, this is because they count for days in Los Angeles. They called it a night. She's making a little speech, having a little more class than a woman named Hillary Clinton did, sending people home with words of encouragement. This is what they're calling a concession.
And to my 10-year-old twins, Karna and Kaveri, I've been a candidate for something as long as you can remember. And you've had to live through it with me. And you've been so patient through all of it. Thank you. Karna and Kaveri, I hope you know that everything every person in this room is fighting for in this campaign has been about building a city that's worthy of you and every child in this city.
Cheating bitch.
Yeah, that's the concession. That is the supposed concession.
Ballot harvesting bitch.
Yeah, that's I don't see the concession there. So again, Glenn, though, this is a valid point. Me and Keaton have talked about this offline. The election fraud theories in LA make no sense for many reasons. Obviously, Karen Bass would prefer to face Pratt in a very blue city than another Democrat. But if you count votes this way over weeks, when most of the world counts immediately, then you're inviting suspicions.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%.
Of course,
in Glenn's country of Brazil, you find out the result minutes after the polls close.
They can do it. We can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Explain that. So, but the real victim here is probably Spencer Pratt. This is from the main wonk. I honestly feel bad for Spencer Pratt. Pratt was fleeced by a cabal of grifting MAGA influencers and GOP consultants who led him to believe that he actually had a chance in a Democrat plus 45 LA. At the end of the day, when all votes are counted, Pratt performed worse than Trump in LA. So Spencer Pratt, we hardly knew you. Down goes Spencer Pratt. And I think that's absolutely true. Who knows how many grifting consultants got paid for to run this fake astroturfed fake populist campaign. If I had to predict, Karen Bass is so awful. The first time I saw her was the fires. She was on TV a lot. I couldn't believe that a woman with such a lack of political talent was the mayor of LA. I mean, she just, look, in the television age, you need a certain amount of presence and charisma to compete in politics beyond a very micro local level. And she is just a complete non-entity. And just from what I've seen of Raman, she should smoke her. And especially if she ran her campaign that way, that shows political competence. Also, and again, this is no endorsement. If anything, the system is so corrupt that the fact that she is connected to money people and Hollywood people tells me she's not going to face the true outsider obstacles that a real outsider would face. So I think she'll probably win.
Yeah, and just to reinforce what Greenwald said there, I mean, I do think it's ridiculous to have it take this long to count votes. That being said, though, you do have to provide better evidence than that for these shifts in vote counts, because that's what happens when you count votes. When the OAS said that Evo Morales rigged his election, they use essentially the same justification that the January 6ers used to say that the 2020 race was rigged, which is, we were winning, and then these votes came in, and now we lost. So that's fucked up, right? They can play that against whoever they want. In 2020, when we were doing our election night live stream, people were thinking Trump was going to win. And I said, no, it looks like I'd rather be Biden than Trump here, because take a state like Wisconsin. Trump is up by 3 or 4 points, but Milwaukee is only half in, and that's the biggest city in the state, and it's a really blue city. So once those votes come in, it's going to go to Biden, and he's going to win the state. And you can duplicate that for Pennsylvania and Michigan. The big cities tend to come in last. Now, you want to say that invites suspicion when this goes on for days and days and days. I agree with you. And I would actually be open to having a postmark deadline for early voting. You can't have an arrive-by deadline for voting, because it's not in people's control when the mail arrives at the place. But you want to say, hey, early voting is cut off 5 days before. Get your ballot in the mail by 5 days, or we cannot guarantee it's counted, because we have to have everything in on election night. I'm not against that, really. I'm not against, cutting off these late arriving ballots where they just count them for days and weeks. Okay. However, that is not in and of itself evidence of widespread fraud. And the bottom line here, for all of the grifters who pumped people up about how Spencer Pratt was going to pull off this underdog victory. Just looking big round numbers here. These are obviously approximate. Just what I have here. Karen Bass, 34. Neither Rahman, 29. Spencer Pratt, 26. If you just use big round numbers, 35, 30 and 30. If Spencer Pratt is at 30 points in the first round, which is a little higher than where he's actually at, there's no way he can win in the general election. In order for because you got to get to 50 in the general election if it's a two-person race.
But so they just didn't want him in the race to make the case.
Exactly. I mean, it's ridiculous.
That's it.
It's ridiculous. That's it. In order for Spencer Pratt,
that's why they conspired against him.
Exactly. I mean, it's just absurd. In order for Spencer Pratt to win the general election, he would have needed to beat the socialist in the race, Neither Rahman, and then get 2/3 of the socialists' voters to vote for him over Karen Bass in the age of Donald Trump. That is beyond a pipe dream. It's absurd. It's fantasy. It was never, ever going to happen. Whoever told you, whoever gassed you up about that was doing so they can cash in on your false hopes, and that's it. This had never any chance of coming to be.
Well, and this is why I wanted to point out the "we are the media" thing now. I think that's part of what laid the ground to make people so easy to convince of something like that. Right. The Trump's victory gave them an inflated sense of their own power and influence because they were told that they did that, and they did not. The Democrats did that, as usual.
Exactly. We are at 692 in the like column. And we are coming up on 1999 in the YouTube chat, but we're not quite there yet. So let's smash that like button a little harder to get an even bigger crowd in here. Why don't we take some?
You know where they had a nice use of that song recently in film, the Bone Temple.
Ah, interesting.
That final installment. Yeah, there was a great dance number set to that.
Ah, interesting. A nice 666 needle drop.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
Do you want me to take some chats? Because you got a second segment coming up. Do you need to load anything?
Oh, it's coming right up?
Yeah, we're going straight in. Because you got 3 today. I got 2. So yeah, I could read some if you need to.
Go on.
All right. Let's see what we got over here. Ardeen W says 100% Trump has got to go. Nocturnal Human, was that Harland Williams sleeping next to Trump? I thought that was Dolan. I thought that was the owner. I thought he was there with the owner of Madison Square Garden, but I could be wrong. I don't know what Dolan looks like. The progressive Michigan, even though his name was on my checks when I worked at Radio City Music Hall. Money is ruining home court advantage, whether in OKC or NYC. Fans paying $10,000 to attend a game are old. Young people with energy who won't be half asleep can't afford to be in the crowd. That's totally true. That's totally true. It was obviously an enthusiastic audience there, but yeah, it's a more upscale audience. The same thing happened at Yankee Stadium when they made the tickets more expensive, less dramatically so. Baseball, because there's so many games in a season, the tickets are still cheap by comparison to like football or even basketball playoff tickets and stuff. But I remember going to a game sitting in the upper deck when I was a kid. You'd have fucking, drunk yahoos up there just getting wasted all day because they paid $8
Those were the
a ticket.
days.
Those were the days. No more. It was a rowdy time. Now you're right. It's much more subdued. Ardeen W. Trump is going to bet big against the Knicks and show up to the next 3 games. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can't resist, right? Vientikis Prime, everything's a scam, everything's a lie, everything's hypocrisy. And so my book you should buy. Ha ha, good one, Vientikis. I like it. 31 Ember says, I live in Florida. Why should I care about L.A.? That's an interesting point. Dendro Bates was having a shitty week until I saw Dave Rubin try to claim his life was genuinely in danger on Jubilee. Good laugh if you guys haven't seen it. No, I have seen it. The only problem is Jubilee really they copyright block their stuff. Kit Cabello just got copyright blocked for playing. Not a strike, he's fine, but like they took the video down, and so we couldn't cover him on Jubilee. But then he comes up and he was afraid of them. Yeah, afraid of the Jubilee kids. These are the alphas, folks. These are the alphas. It's amazing. And then you have, what's his name? Who's the guy there? Who's the other doctor there? The Dr. Schmuck. What is his name? Not Dr. Phil, not Dr. Oz, the other doctor, Dr. Drew. He's like, he's telling him, I thought you held it together pretty well. I thought you did a pretty good job. Like, the guy totally embarrassed himself. He tried to make it like, because Dave Rubin was like, I thought I held my own except that one time where I blanked on a fact or something, which I don't even know what he was referring to because the whole thing was so moronic. And then, his co-host there, Dr. Drew, tries to back him up. Like, no, it's because you were rattled because they were so threatening. They were so crazy that
had to fear for his life from those kids. How could you keep your composure?
Yeah, how could you keep it together? You did a great job keeping it together as well as you did. Yeah, if
it's
they
a tough
weren't
bunch of monkeys over there at Jubilee.
Yeah, exactly. If they weren't copyright bastards, we would have definitely covered that. George, Mint Press News via Telegram reported Israel just issued a maximum state of alert and is preparing to bomb Iran in coordination with the U.S. Love to all, hoping for peace. Thanks, George. It's funny. We were going to cover Iran updates, but we decided, you know what? Our take is the same over and over again, so maybe give it a rest for the day. But that sounds like it could be news. I don't know where you heard that. I hope it wasn't Axios. California politicians, Dems or otherwise, still have nothing to say about L.A. Sheriff Department gangs and their initiation. Google it. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Let's go to classy Tom Massie and the USS Liberty.
All right. Classy Tom Massie. Classy Tom Massie. Want to know what I called this one? Jews roast ship, Massie roast Jews. But it's true. It's funny because it's true. Yes. So Thomas Massie announced last week that he was going to
9/11 on the high seas. That's what we call this segment. Yes.
Yes. Massie announced that on the anniversary, the 59th anniversary of the Israeli attack on the USS Liberty, he was going to speak about it on the floor of the House, making himself the first to ever do so. This is the USS Liberty Veterans Association. To our knowledge, this will be the first time any member of Congress has ever spoken on the floor about the USS Liberty without excusing it as an error or an accident, as Senator Jacob Javits did when he spoke on the floor of the Senate before the blood on our decks was dry. So I'm just going to play the whole thing. It's only about 5 minutes for anyone, I'm sure, rare in our audience who's not familiar with what happened. This will also give you some background.
Mr. Speaker, it's my great honor, maybe one of the biggest honors of my lifetime, to stand here on the floor and do something that's 59 years overdue, to recognize the survivors and those who gave their lives on the USS Liberty 59 years ago today, when they were viciously attacked by IDF jets and also after that by torpedo boats. I'm going to tell you a little bit of their story. And there, by the way, there's at least a dozen of them here today with us.
Jew hater!
I just met with them in my office, and they related this story to me.
Should I provide commentary as Mark Levin?
Now that you mentioned
it was a clear day. The USS Liberty was one of the most technologically sophisticated ships.
I feel like I should
in the
do
Navy,
this segment as
but
Mark
it was
Levin.
virtually unarmed, and it was sent to observe the six-day war going on in the Middle East between Israel and its neighbors. It arrived on June 7th, and the weather was clear. The planes came out to meet them, to investigate. And then on the next day, on June 8th, they started the day. The visibility was unlimited. The American flag was flying proudly on the USS Liberty. More planes came from Israel to surveil the boat, the ship. And they thought they were in good shape. But what happened next surprised them all. French Mirage jets showed up, and for 25 minutes, strafed and attacked the USS Liberty. They shot rockets. They shot 30-millimeter cannons into the hull and into the ship. They even dropped napalm on the bridge of the ship. This was an effort to kill everybody on board. There was no intention of taking prisoners. After the 25 grueling minutes of attack on this virtually unarmed ship, and they thought things were over and they could recover, the torpedo boats showed up, 3 torpedo boats. They launched 4 torpedoes. One of them hit the hull of the USS Liberty and killed 25 people instantly. It blew a 40-foot by 40-foot hole in the side of this ship. They were intent on sinking it. But they were also intent on not having a single survivor. According to eyewitness accounts, the Israelis machine gunned the lifeboats that they put down. They machine gunned the firefighters who were on the deck. They were bringing the wounded and the dead to the mess hall to triage them. They had one doctor who was trying to help them all, put a few stitches in. It was harrowing, and it's amazing. If not for that crew, that boat would have sunk that day. But it still wasn't over. Helicopters showed up, combat helicopters. And the USS Liberty, even though their signals were being jammed by the Israelis, got a signal out. And there were ships that tried to respond. The USS Saratoga, the USS America sent planes. Both of them sent planes to help the USS Liberty. And something happened that's never happened before. A ship under attack, the planes were recalled. This has never happened before. And they sat there for 17 hours. 34 dead, 174 wounded, out of 294 crew members. That's over 70% casualty rate, unheard of. The Israelis were intent on leaving no survivor. And what about our own military? Why did they not send anybody for 17 hours to help these men? So what really happened? You know, the official reports say that it was a case of mistaken identity. But if you listen to Dean Rusk, former Secretary of State, Richard Helms, CIA Director, Bobby Ray Inman, head of the NSA, Captain Ward Boston, who was the chief counsel of the Court of Inquiry. If you listen to Admiral Moore, who served in Pearl Harbor, Midway, commanded both the Atlantic and Pacific Fleet, and was chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, none of these distinguished men think this was an accident. They think it was intentional murder by the country of Israel, either as a false flag operation or because they simply didn't want anybody observing what they were doing that day. Well, I've got a call to action for everybody here. Honor these individuals. Quit ignoring that they exist. Go to their website, ussliberty.org. Support them. And while they're still alive, they need closure. Let's give them closure. Let's have an investigation. Let's pass a resolution honoring them. It's long overdue. And then they can have their justice. With that, I yield back. And I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a declaration of Ward Boston declaring that the only official court of inquiry was invalid.
Without objection, so ordered.
I yield back.
The gentleman yields.
This slime ball spreads blood libels against the Jewish people on the floor of the House. Is he aware that on the day this happened, only 25 years had passed since the Jewish people were systematically murdered, 35 million Jews killed by the Ayatollah Adolf Hitler and his Islamo-Nazi regime? Do they care that the Third Reich was harboring Al-Qaeda? No, they don't care. Their allies in the Democrat Party wrote that out of the history books. Well, not here. We tell you the real history here on Life, Liberty, and Levin. Now a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Now, you want to know why Miriam spent $8 trillion to get this freaking guy out of office? That's why.
Yeah,
that's why. But he's making the most of his final days in Congress, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what you call 0 fucks left.
0 fucks to give. You know who else has 0 fucks left to give? Sean Strickland. He's like, you know what? In for a penny, in for a pound, motherfuckers. All right, you want it? You want some? You want some? Pretending it didn't happen because they wanted another Vietnam Gulf of Tonkin response. They knew it was going to happen. Yeah, it looks that way. USS Liberty Veterans Association. A dynamite telling of our story in such a short amount of time. The story no other member of Congress will even listen to. And here's one of the survivors. Thank you, Thomas Massie. You gave the dead of the USS Liberty a voice. You stood up for us when nobody had the courage. You're a beacon of hope for our movement and our country. Yeah, well, pray for that man's life. If I were him, I'd be looking over my shoulder, man. I'd get those glasses that show you behind you, what's going on behind you. Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Get a ring camera for the back of your hat.
Seriously. I'm looking for a new pair of glasses, and now, they have these AI frames that do all kinds of things, including translate. Apparently they translate languages. Thank you, Thomas Massie, for recognizing the heroic members of the USS Liberty, which was attacked by Israel, where 34 crew members were killed and 174 were wounded. Why did our greatest ally attack us? Good question. Here's the people who are still on the payroll, like Frank McCormick here. According to Massie, Americans can't afford groceries. Gas is too expensive. Yeah. And Iran was a distraction from the Epstein files. Where are you going with this, Frank? So naturally, after returning from a tropical vacation, he got right to work on the issue Americans are losing sleep over. Oh, I see. This is so unimportant compared with the way that your guy completely fucked up the country. You'd think he'd have something better to do. And Cat Turd, doubling down on the grandstanding clown show that caused his humiliating landslide defeat. The low IQ one-trick pony is a cringe broken record. It's funny, like these different grifters have different styles. Like Eric Doherty just mails it in. I don't really think he's working for his money. It's just, people like, Eric, what do you want this to say? Holy smokes, holy crap, just whatever, whatever. Cat Turd basically tries to rule people cringe. That's kind of his go-to, that the people are cringe. I think most people find your orange pedophile president more cringe than Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie's definitely got a Jimmy Stewart Goes to Washington kind of a vibe going.
He looks like the father in The Witch now that he has his beard. The father in The Witch.
Movie?
The one who gets horned by the goat at the end. Yeah, he's got that look now.
I don't remember what the father looks like.
Looks like a 17th century pilgrim.
So somebody asked Jeremy Boring of the Daily Wire, Jeremy, do you believe this story was overlooked or buried for a period of time? And from a broader perspective, how do you think Israel's actions and response will be viewed as more information becomes public? I am just an American, generally interested in hearing different perspectives on this. Much love from Wisconsin. So Jeremy Boring answers, no, the story was not overlooked or buried. Israel immediately informed us the attack happened.
Oh, yeah.
There were numerous investigations. The captain of the USS Liberty was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor. Israel apologized and paid reparations. The truth is, it's just not a big story. It's a tragic story, no doubt, but it isn't a big story. 34 Americans died on the USS Liberty in 1967. 11,363 Americans died in the jungles of Vietnam in 1967. Well, so there you go. There you go. You know what? By that logic, according to what we've heard, 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust, but 22 million Russians died fighting the Nazis. So I guess it's not really a big deal then, right? If we're going to apply this kind of logic. Friendly fire is horrific, but not uncommon. There is very little reason for a 60-year-old friendly fire incident to be widely known about, much less widely discussed. For example, that same year, 1967, a U.S. Marine Corps jet attacked a U.S. Army position on Hill 875 in Vietnam, killing 42 American soldiers. Okay, so my question would be, were those soldiers carrying an enormous flag to identify themselves as Americans, the way the USS Liberty was flagged as an American ship? And did this incident go on for 17 hours? Were they hitting them for 17 hours? Were American planes sent out to rescue these Marines in this position and then sent back for reasons that no one can explain? I don't think so. James Lee here. Wrong, Jeremy. Captain of the USS Liberty in a speech at Arlington National Cemetery. Let's see what he thought.
Years, I had wanted to believe that the attack on the Liberty was pure error. It appears to me that it was not a pure case of mistaken identity. I think that it's about time that the state of Israel and the United States government provide the crew members of the Liberty and the rest of the American people the facts of what happened and why it came about that the Liberty was attacked 30 years ago today.
Doesn't sound like he was buying the official story there. This is from Phantom Pain. I think he pulled this together from different documentaries. Yeah, we literally have the radio communications of the Israelis acknowledging that it's an American ship.
This audio tape, which has never been broadcast before, was recorded in real time by the Israeli military during the assault. The woman's voice in the background is counting down the seconds. It proves that Israeli commanders knew all along that they were attacking an American ship.
What state does the ship belong to? That says the pilot. Control tower. American. Is testimony from Jim Kavanaugh, survivor.
And we realized that we needed help. We tried to communicate with the Sixth Fleet.
They were jamming both our distress frequencies and our tactical frequencies. The tactical frequencies is all right, but the international distress frequencies is a violation of international law to jam them, and the Israelis were jamming them.
And we could not get a signal across. Here's the question I have to ask. Who would know the frequencies other than an ally? And who was the ally in the war? It wasn't Egypt. It was Israel. They would know, and only they would know in this conflict, what our frequencies would be.
What's your point?
Also, a lot of people have come forward who were in the room about the cover-up. This is Gen X girl. For the past 59 years, a few members of Congress dared to help the survivors of the USS Liberty. The Israel lobby severely targeted, punished, and labeled these lawmakers as racists and anti-Semites. William Fulbright, Barry Goldwater, Adlai Stevenson, Paul Finley, Pete McCloskey, James Traficant, Jim Moran, Nick Rahal. Now there's a little video talking about what the conversation was. Lyndon Johnson was president at the time and what his thoughts were about what happened.
Hope is that the leadership...
He got rehired at 60 Minutes. His first assignment is to expose the USS Liberty. Barry Weiss really wants to bring that out.
American ships arrived to take the injured and the dead off the Liberty. The American government now made sure that no journalists could get anywhere near the crew.
When they took the severely wounded to various parts, they actually posted guards on their rooms so that no one could be interviewed by the press. The total press blackout was in effect.
Back in Washington, the government ensured there was little information for the press, while politics went on behind closed doors.
I was told to go up urgently to the 7th floor. Well, my name is Bill Woolley. I was in charge of the Arab-Israel desk. Sit in because the Secretary of State himself, Dean Rusk, had summoned Ambassador Harman of Israel to come in urgently. And so I sat through the meeting taking notes, and In a loud voice, the secretary was really demanding some explanation for why and what had happened. The ambassador himself seemed to be ignorant of the incident. He immediately said, "I can't believe what you're telling me. It would be impossible. It would be unheard of."
It was especially tough for Lyndon Johnson, to date, the most pro-Israeli American president in history.
Well,
Johnson was.
I'm assuming they made
tough
this
mood.
before Trump's second term.
Yeah.
I'm Tom Hughes. I was director in the State Department, director of intelligence and research at the time of the Liberty incident in '67. Attack on the Liberty, Johnson himself briefed Newsweek magazine off the record that the Israelis had attacked, and the reason they'd attacked was that they thought this was an intelligence ship that was intercepting perhaps Israeli as well as Egyptian communications.
But then everything changed.
The fact that Johnson himself was the leaker and briefer of Newsweek was soon leaked. And this alarmed, of course, the Israeli embassy and their leading friends in the Jewish organizations. The Israeli embassy regarded this as a major problem, and that what Johnson had told Newsweek practically amounted to blood libel.
Declassified Israeli documents show they were going to threaten President Johnson with blood libel, gross anti-Semitism, and that would end his political career.
Blackmail. This is Admiral Bobby R. Inman, U.S. Navy retired. I'm a former director of the National Security Agency. But they know if he is thinking about running again, he's going to need money for his campaign. So alleging that he's blood libeling is going to arouse the Jewish donors.
Sounds very familiar, huh? Sounds
yeah.
very familiar. Threaten, blackmail, we're going to destroy your political career by accusing you of blood libel. See, people see what Zionists do now, and they say, why do they think they can get away with this? Because it's worked for a very long time.
Right.
It's always worked for them. So here is one of the survivors of the USS Liberty, pretty pissed off at the suggestion that Johnson was actually behind this. Oh, whoops. Hang on, I did not load that in. All right, you want to take a couple chats? I'll put it in.
You know what? Let me actually do a read while you're doing that. That'll work a little better. Let me just take this down here. There we are. All right, folks, do a quick game break. A little mid-segment read. They'll love that over at Rumble Wallet. So, hey, quick question, everybody. How much control do you have over your money right now? The economy is changing as technology changes, and Rumble is in the game with Rumble Wallets, which is what we're here to talk to you about right now. You can get started on the Rumble Wallet by scanning this QR code or going to wallet.rumble.com. It takes all the complexity of the new economy and makes it simple, and also makes it simple for you to tip your favorite Rumble creators using Bitcoin, dollar-backed stable coins, or even digital gold backed by real gold. There's no complicated setup. It connects with MoonPay, so you can use your credit card, your debit card, or bank and be up and running in minutes. And once you're set up, you can even support your favorite Rumble creators like us directly. So get started now. Scan that QR code or click the link in the description and download the Rumble Wallet right now. From there, you can set up your wallet, tap buy, and you're in the game. You could start Rumble ranting just as you do now. It's just as easy. Only difference is there's zero platform fee, so it supports us even better than when you do it the old-fashioned way. So that's wallet.rumble.com, or scan the QR code on the screen right now and get started with Rumble Wallet. All right, go ahead.
All right, I'll set it up again.
All right.
Okay, this is one of the survivors of the Liberty responding to the accusation that Johnson was actually behind this.
Pay my respects to the USS Liberty survivors, Phil Turney, and all of those who know damn well that that attack was carried out by Israel. And I don't deny for 1 second that Lyndon Baines Johnson is a first-class traitor on many levels and a pervert to boot. So I'm not in any way defending that traitor. However, to suggest that Lyndon Baines Johnson manipulated the Israelis into an attack for his own personal gains is insulting and absolutely contrary to the facts. As I mentioned earlier, there are radio transcripts which are now a matter of public record in which the Israeli pilots themselves are questioning the order to attack what is clearly an American ship. And the order is repeated to attack the ship. So please don't tell me or anybody else that Lyndon Baines Johnson manipulated that. It is insulting. Now, I'd like to get back to another point as well, which is that, of course, as soon as we talk about the Jewish state of Israel and the Jewish supremacist Talmudic ideology, which effectively pits all of us, the rest of us, the goy, as cattle to be used, and we look at the actual pattern, the Lavon affair, the USS Liberty, and direct Mossad involvement in 9/11. In fact, it was a joint operation between U.S. intelligence and military and Israeli Mossad agents who were arrested on the day with explosives in their bands, celebrating and high-fiving, all of this on record. Israel has continued to get away with their false flag manipulations in order to use American sons and daughters as cattle to be sacrificed for their wars. And I really seriously resent the idea that Lyndon Baines Johnson did this and manipulated Israel. I find that really disgusting and borderline treasonous myself. No serious historian can seriously put that forward, and I imagine that book has one hell of a lot of tap dancing in it, if indeed that's what it says.
Phil, I don't know what percentage of...
Look, far be it from me to give media advice, but listen, if you're trying to get a job at CBS, buddy, is not the way to do it. I think I might have misread this. All right, so Ken O'Keefe is a survivor, but follow and support my good friend and survivor of that terrorist attack. He's saying that he is, but I kind of got the impression that he wasn't. It seems like this tweet is saying he's a survivor of the USS Liberty. Not the kind of thing that you want to get wrong. But finally, from Babylon BB, today marks 59 years since anti-Semitic ship crashed into innocent Israeli torpedoes and napalm.
Finally.
Finally, we're getting to the truth. Yeah, this is exactly why they poured an ungodly amount of money into a district in Kentucky to get rid of this guy.
Exactly.
Because who else will do this? Who else is going to go do this? So what, AOC is going to go do that? Rashida Tlaib is going to go do that? Even Ilhan Omar would not do that. Thomas Massie is literally the only person in Congress who would do something like that. That's why they had to get rid of him. And that was why, we've said if he were running against Newsom, we'd vote for him. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because his economics certainly are not mine. I don't question his honesty. There's really not much upside in taking the path that he has taken, or Marjorie Taylor Greene for that matter. Like, look what they got for their trouble.
Yeah, exactly. And basically, I mean, the Democrats' views on economics are just kind of a more bureaucratic version of his, for the most part. You know what I mean? I don't love his economic views, but, there's very little you could do via executive order on that front. So, a lot of that stuff is going to be curbed by the process. But yeah, from a civil liberties standpoint, from a foreign policy standpoint, it's a no-brainer. And I thought the exact same thing throughout the whole segment. You can't imagine someone like AOC doing this, not only because they are just less likely to go against power in that way,
right?
But, and this is where when you see candidates like Graham Plattner, who are ex-military, and a lot of people on the left have a problem with that, it doesn't seem to be like the progressive DSA branded Democrats to really go to bat for military men in that way.
Right.
They're just not a part of their coalition. They don't speak their language. And so they figure their support is not really available to us. So fuck it. There's no upside. I think that's a difference too. And this is also where the sort of anti-Israel right just makes itself more relevant than a lot of the anti-Israel left by doing a thing like that. Because what are you doing now? You are appealing to the very kind of person who is inclined to support military adventurism, i.e. the people who do it, the people who fight these wars, right? And so, you're talking about, a real appeal to a group that is, on paper, not particularly likely to be receptive to your message. That's how coalitions grow. And that's not a comfortable process, but it's a necessary process.
Well, this is the problem with the so-called left as it is. I'm reading Finks right now, which really gets into the relationship that the Congress for Cultural Freedom had with all of these liberal magazines, the New Yorker, and with academia and with art. And I think you really have got to look at that to understand how what passes for the left got the way it got. How did you lose all the hard hats? Like, why, when you think of the left, do you think of like upper class, college educated, brunch eating kind of people? That's not what people used to think of. Opera critics. That's not what people used to think of. They used to think of hard hats, right?
Right.
Now you see a guy like Graham Plattner. It's funny because he does come from this prep school background, but for whatever reason, this guy decided to do 3 tours. It's going to have an impact on you, right? It's going to have an impact on your demeanor, on how you signal. He doesn't signal like a guy who went to prep school. He signals like a guy who did 3 tours. They can't handle that. And until you completely purge, forget about the Democrats, although if you did hollow out the shell of the Democrats and replace it with people like that, it wouldn't be the Democrats anymore. And that's kind of the point. Like, you got to take the whole coalition of what calls itself the left. You got to tell them, people who can actually talk to working people, one of them is worth a fucking million of you. Sit down, shut up, and let people like that take the lead, or go somewhere else. Get disengaged politically. You people do more harm than good, because you drive people who are actually from the working class, people who have actually served in the military, you drive them right into reactionary political movements.
Yep. I agree. All right. You want to take some chats and rants? I'll throw up our scroll on the screen here while you do that.
Sure.
All righty. Let me get our members, feature our members here. You know what to do if you'd like to support the show. It helps us out tremendously. Patreon, Substack, Locals. Links are up on the screen. All right, go ahead.
All right. Darius King. It's funny Trump says that his 2020 election was rigged because Steve Bannon said himself on tape that they made it up to rile up Trump supporters. Is that on tape? Have you heard that, Keaton?
I don't remember. I remember something like that, but not enough to confirm or deny. But I believe it, because I do remember seeing something about that.
Okay. 31 Burr. How long till MAGA calls Rahman a Chinese spy? Any minute. How long before they call me a Chinese spy?
Yeah.
Mr. Fancy Pants. Venezuela has one of the most secure voting systems in the world. Voter ID, paper ballots, and right-wingers still exist. They are rigged every time. Yeah, well, anything, when it's convenient, it's rigged, right? Named My Taco. It would be hilarious if Keaton would reference Cumtown as much as he references The Sopranos. Also, you guys see that they put a flag on Hoover Dam after having to shut it off? One-trick ponies. Did they? I didn't hear anything about this story.
You know, it's funny. I mean, I love Cumtown, but I discovered Cumtown probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 months before they disbanded. So I actually have probably only heard about 20 episodes. There's a whole backlog of stuff that I should go back and listen to.
Angry Prole. DD, you are lying to yourselves and others if you think there can be left-wing unity. By the way, Thomas Massie is a terrible person. You're too focused on pumping out content than to provide qua. I always say, man,
his last thing is to
need
provide
more
quality material. I think the last part of it was you're too concerned about pumping out content to provide quality work. Well, you're right about that. I mean, we'll give you that. Yeah, the last
Yeah,
part.
yeah. Which begs the question, what are you doing here?
Yeah, what are you watching for?
Why are you here? There's a lot of quality work being done by, there's this guy, Tim Pool. He's very good. He's doing a lot of quality stuff.
Oh, yeah. We're serving up the goy slop today, big time. We got
Oh, yeah.
basketball. We got Spencer Pratt. We got we got soccer coming up next. We got a lot of sports today.
Yeah. Listen,
just phoning it in today.
We're
just here to collect. We're just punching the clock right here.
I mean, there's what I always say.
Tuesday, baby.
To
Hump
this
day.
kind of thing.
Hump day.
You can not like the show, whatever. To kind of indicate, you didn't use the word, but to kind of indicate like we're grifting. You know what I find insulting about that? It's another, I don't think you mean it this way, but what you're saying is we're too stupid to figure out how to grift. Either that or you're too stupid to realize where the money is. It's one or the other. Because what we do, that's like you're actively avoiding money to do the show the way that we do it. Believe me, we could do a very nice shovel out shit to lonely, disaffected white men, and we'd literally be rich. We would in fact, we had a major inroad to that audience, and then we ran across a guy named Daryl Cooper. They had a meltdown the first time we did an episode. So you know what we did? What did we do? Maybe 4 more? Probably did 4 more Daryl Cooper.
Yeah, I think we did
episodes.
2 more. We did a trilogy.
Well, we did 2 more then, but I mean, over the history of the show, we've probably did like 2 or 3 more after that. So look, you could question the quality. We question the quality all the time. This show's fucking awful. I don't know why anybody watches it. But you can't question our integrity, my friend.
I mean, Russ can speak for himself. I actually am trying to, get a foothold in the, lonely white man market here. So it's a good time to remind everybody that we're premiering a new episode of the Shuffle Pod right after this show at 4:15, maybe 4:30 today. Top 5 albums of 1997. Lonely white men are welcome to come and find community in the chat.
Boy. All right. Angry Pro. Lastly, DD, why are you unwilling to acknowledge and accept corrections and criticisms from those to the left of you? I thought you cared about facts and journalism.
We did accept it. We just answered you for 5 minutes. So there you go.
We just answered you. We accepted it. Listen, this is the thing. A lot of times you get people in the comment section who are, what's the word for it? Retarded. And when the very unfair accusations are being made, or when somebody is saying something that's so clearly that they're enjoying the weather all the way up their own ass, it doesn't rise to the level of meriting a response. You understand? Now, if you feel that you have like a point to make that's very important, no bar to entry on YouTube, man. It's free. Go set up a channel.
Yeah, go do it.
Plant your flag. Run it up the flagpole, see who salutes. I'm sure you have some very important things you need to get out there. Matt from Wisconsin, if the phone as is around the fur isn't in your 1997 countdown, I'll be sending you more money next week to express my disappointment. Well, is it, Keaton?
It is not. So I guess we can count on that. Count on that.
See, that's how you get paid.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
All right. Yep. Let's move right on along. All right, folks. So yes, more sports ball today. Kind of a theme of the day. In 2 days, the World Cup starts, which is really amazing because I remember. I mean, right now, family man that I am, I work from home. I pretty much kind of lay low. So, I wouldn't really know if there's World Cup fever going on. But in 2014, I was living in Brooklyn, and the World Cup was happening, and it was happening in Brazil, of course, that year. It was not in the United States, and the World Cup was everywhere. You could not get away from these World Cup games. Every bar was packed at all hours of the day when there were games going on. And we're 48 hours away from the World Cup arriving here in America, and it seems like very few people care. And that is reflecting in the numbers. FIFA faces empty seats as 180,000 World Cup tickets hit resale market. Ticket touts are likely to be the first losers in this year's World Cup, with almost 180,000 tickets still available on official resale platforms just days before the tournament kicks off. The median ticket price on the official portal for resellers has sunk by 20% over the past month. After taking account of a 26% resale fee on transactions through the platform, the Financial Times has calculated that most resales may now come at a loss. Even the U.S., the main host of the tournament, is struggling to shift tickets, with 4,400 tickets still available on the resale portal for its opening match against Paraguay. Despite steep discounts, the median ticket quoted on the site for the game still costs more than $800. The cheapest remaining tickets available for this game from FIFA directly cost $1,120, so they're being marked down on the resale sites. That is kind of unheard of. Like, the reason, unless, you know, you're selling like last minute tickets, if you're a season ticket holder and you can't make a game and you put it up on, you know, StubHub at the last minute, whatever, to get some of your money back. But aside from that, these ticket resellers always mark up the price. They never mark down the price. In addition to the resales, FIFA continues to list about 15,000 tickets for sale for group stage games. Empty seats would be an embarrassment for FIFA, the governing body of global football, which opted to price tickets far higher than in previous editions of the World Cup, which it said was in line with local market conditions. The 5-week tournament is being staged in the U.S., Mexico, and Canada, and begins on Thursday. This Thursday. By contrast, enthusiasm for Mexico, who are playing their 3 group games at home in Mexico City and Guadalajara, means there are only 300 tickets available per game, with those trading for an average of 4 times their original purchase price. So they're selling more tickets for more money. They're getting a markup in Mexico. In America, people can barely move them, so they're taking a loss just to get some of their money back. Now, why are people down on the World Cup here in America? Well, I'm going to read you a slew of headlines that might paint a picture of just how this is about to go over the next 6 weeks. Nightmare for Brielle Embolo as Switzerland star is cleared to join World Cup squad after U.S. denies visa. So this guy just got his visa approved at the last minute after originally being told no. Iraq World Cup striker Hussein questioned for hours at Chicago airport, source says. Somali soccer referee, this is going around a lot today, it's a big story. Somali soccer referee denied U.S. entry, will miss World Cup debut. The Somalis being denied entry, so this guy is not going to participate in the World Cup at all.
You know, it's fun. When I was traveling with on the group tour, I was telling these people, because they're all like European, they care about soccer. I told them, like, this World Cup is going to be such an epic disaster. They are never going to try to do this in the United States again.
No.
And they were like, "Oh, really? You don't think they'll adjust the rules for?" I said, "No,
no." There's too many people.
That assumes basic competence,
Yeah.
and they don't have that.
Yeah, no. There's too many people involved for them to even try to adjust the rules if they wanted to, because you have the fans coming in too. Like, you have ordinary people coming in for this too. So yeah, the Somali referee has been denied a visa. Now, who's going to let the plumber in at his daycare center now? What's going to happen with that? You know, this affects American workers as well. South Africa squad departs for World Cup without assistant coach after U.S. visa delays. People are not able to get in to the country. I love this one. Senegal checked on airport tarmac. Uzbeks greeted at stadium by sniffer dogs as World Cup nears. So they actually subjected the Uzbekistan team to a bomb-sniffing dog search. Here's both of those events side by side in this video. Welcome to America. Iran says ticket allocation for World Cup withdrawn days before tournament. So they usually give each team 8% of the house to fill with their fans. Of course, the Iranians have been denied that. I love this one. Scoop, Trump administration pre-blames Europe for any World Cup Ebola. That's good. That's a good headline ahead of the World Cup.
That'll fill the stadiums.
By the way, if any of you shit yourselves to death, blame those krauts and those frogs over there. It's their fault, not ours. It's not ours, even though, we're the ones hosting the World Cup because we're the best. America's the hottest country on earth.
If anyone projectile vomits blood on you, you should probably get that checked.
Yeah, exactly. So Infantino, what is his name? Gianno Infantino, something like that, the FIFA president, recently promised that this would be the most inclusive and best FIFA World Cup ever. Wow. Took the L on that prediction there. So shaping up to be an absolute nightmare, of course, which, it's an unfortunate reflection on the state of America. And I suppose it's unfortunate for a lot of these players, who, worked very hard to get here, and coaches and referees who have trained. But don't forget, folks, FIFA is really a despicable organization. Just want to plant that flag there because we're going to get to that in a moment, lest you think we're crying any tears for FIFA here. So this is Ian Wright. He's a former soccer player and now a British media sports commentator. And here he is weighing in on the state of this upcoming World Cup.
Hey, bro. I just read that the Somalian referee has been denied entry. Every few hours, it's another story about fans denied, players denied, officials denied, journalists denied, now refs. You know something, I'm laughing, but it's not funny. It's actually not funny. Something has to be said. It's expensive tickets, most expensive tickets ever. Expensive accommodation, transport through the roof. It has to be said. Is this how the hosts behave, really, for the greatest game, the greatest tournament in the world? Is this how the hosts behave? Are we not hearing more? Are we seeing how Qatar got dragged? Are we not hearing more? Is this the spirit of football? Really?
I mean, the reason you're not hearing more is because of how much of a fiasco it already is. Like, I think people have just soured on this event before it even began. Like I said, when I lived in New York City during the World Cup, it was happening in Brazil. I mean, everywhere you looked were World Cup party. You couldn't get into a bar for a month straight because it was packed for these World Cup games. People were getting to bars at 8 o'clock in the morning to watch a World Cup game. You could not avoid it. Here, literally the most I've seen about this World Cup are like kiosks of overpriced FIFA hats at like pharmacies. They'll put a little end cap with some merch on it. That's it. I haven't even seen really any advertising for it.
You know who I feel for? I feel for the American fans who are desperate for this. American soccer fans who are desperate for this. How embarrassed they must be. How embarrassing for them this must be. This is, you know what? This is the World Cup. This is a World Cup of chaos. Whoever wins this World Cup is going to have to go through some serious chaos to get this done.
They're going to be in and out of ice 3 times.
We can do it. But something has to be said, man. This is just like... This is the World Cup.
No, I mean, this is just going to be
of course this was going to happen.
Of course it's going to happen. No, this is going to be as epic a shit show as we've ever seen. Because this is not like the Super Bowl. This is a 6-week event. I mean, this goes on for a long time. What are you going to have? Like, people coming in and out of the country According to whether they win or lose, the fans are going to fly in. If the team advances, you're going to have last-minute fans trying to get in to see the team because they advanced in a round. Like, there's a lot of moving parts to a World Cup. I don't understand why a nationalist border hawk administration would even be excited that the World Cup is coming here. I'm surprised they didn't try to cancel it. They'd just be like, yeah, this is not going to work. Okay, we're not about the world. America is not an idea. This is a place. So take your football and move it somewhere where people give a shit. Because, yeah, this is just going to be
why you bring it to a country where people actually care about this sport?
Yeah, no. I mean, this is just going to be just unthinkable. I mean, we are going to get – it's going to be darkly comic, and hopefully – it doesn't, cross over into the realm of tragedy. I mean, hopefully, we'll have our fingers crossed on that. We're hoping we can have a laugh at what a shit show this is. But yeah, that is what it's looking like. Now, as for FIFA, the organization, don't forget, this is the organization, unless you shed any tears for them, that joined Trump's Board of Peace, and they put out this AI video about their plans to repurpose Gaza as this mecca for professional athletics. This is almost 3 minutes. We're not going to watch the whole thing.
You're fucking kidding me.
But yeah, maybe we will. If you haven't seen this, maybe we will watch the whole thing. But this is what they put out.
Recently? It was recent.
In a world where conflict has silenced playgrounds and broken routines,
this may have been when you were in China.
There is
sure.
one language that still unites
when you were in
hearts.
Asia. It was like February, March.
Football.
Look,
a simple ball, a shared field, a reason to believe again. Today, FIFA and the Board of Peace come together to turn football into a bridge toward peace, dignity, and hope. Through this partnership, a complete football ecosystem will be created. FIFA and the Board of Peace will build football pitches, FIFA arenas, academies, and stadiums. This initiative will support the creation of leagues at youth, amateur, and regional level, strengthening community engagement both on and off the pitch. It will also generate diverse professional opportunities, supporting the development of local talent not only on the field, but across all areas that bring football to life. Football does more than create players and coaches. It rebuilds confidence, restores routine, reopens doors to education, teamwork, and belonging. Local communities take the lead. Parents, teachers, volunteers, youth leaders, all becoming part of a shared mission to heal, to rebuild, to move forward together. Around every pitch, new emotions and long-lasting memories emerge. Community matches, fan gatherings, youth education, and sport programs. New job opportunities appear to become coaches, players, sport doctors, administrators, events organizers.
See, so it's going to be great. I mean, yeah, you got genocided, but, FIFA's bringing DEI to Gaza now, so that's great. It's a win-win. It's a win-win. I guess we can let this play. If you haven't seen it, I'll let it play.
In a lot of ways, I feel like my entire family was wiped out in order to open up opportunities for the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly. It's cost of progress.
Football ecosystem with thousands of people to be involved and engaged constantly.
Wow.
Together.
The way this World Cup is going, they'd be better off having it in Gaza. Just have it in Gaza already. May as well. Yeah. It'd probably go smoother there than here.
FIFA and the Board of Peace will build in Gaza 50 FIFA arena mini pitches
50
with a cost of around $50,000 US per unit. This represents a $2.5 million investment. 5 full-size pitches in 5 different districts at around $1 million US per pitch. A FIFA academy with an estimated investment of $15 million US. And a national stadium for 20,000 to 25,000 spectators, valued at around $50 million US.
Wow.
These investments will create a complete football ecosystem designed to support communities and future generations. FIFA and the Board of Peace, united for football, committed to peace.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's FIFA. This is also FIFA. FIFA President Infantino tried to force the representative of Palestine to stand with Israel and take a picture at the 76th FIFA Congress. Palestine refused, instead shouting, "We are suffering." FIFA is a sick organization and the World Cup should be boycotted by everyone. Yeah, I second that. Here's this exchange. Like, he's got the Israeli over there, and there's the president trying to get him to come over and hug him.
We could have a moment.
Yeah, we could have a moment. Come on. Come on. Haven't you heard we're building 50 soccer fields in Gaza? I don't know when this was, but point remains. Dynamic has not changed all that much over the years from 30,000 feet. So here is Zohran Mamdani, who, by the way, we hate. Here's sellout Zohran Mamdani. If you take one thing away from this segment, it should be that he's a sellout and we hate his guts. That's the most important thing about this segment. That's really why we did it. We kind of buried the lead here. But here is sellout Zohran Mamdani criticizing the Trump administration for his handling of the World Cup.
Of visas for journalists from certain countries, or the rejection of a visa for a coach of a team, as well as single-day visas for specific foreign national teams. This is anathema to what this tournament is supposed to be about. If we cannot even allow the players, the teams, and the journalists covering those teams to come into this city and this country, then it begs a larger question about our commitment to the spirit of this tournament. And we want this to be a tournament that reflects our commitment to us being part of something larger than ourselves, and that's the world's game, which everyone should be able to be a part of.
Thank you.
Yep. So there
hate
is
him.
not. Yeah, hate him. Yeah, horrible, horrible. It's amazing.
You know who
people
I
fell
like?
For that. Yeah.
You know who I like? Angry Prol 7859.
I mean, you listen to that.
That's the way forward.
You watch that, and all I can think is I want Mayor Sid Rosenberg as soon as possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
where it's at? You know where it's at? People ineffectually screaming into the void online.
Yeah, exactly. That's where the action is.
That's where the action is, man.
The action is. So in terms of World Cup action, the World Cup action is not going to be in New York City proper. They are going to be playing in East Rutherford, New Jersey, which is where the Jets and the Giants play their games. So you'll have flights coming into the New York City airports. I'm assuming because the stadium is in Jersey, you're going to have a lot of traffic in and out of Newark Airport over these next several weeks. And it's just going to be an absolute nightmare, which is a shame on one level, but on a certain level, it's karma for FIFA, which is just, as I hope we've demonstrated here, an absolutely despicable and soulless organization that really does not deserve to have a great World Cup. And so, in a certain sense, this is karmic justice. But it's going to be fucking hilarious either way.
You know what I've always wanted to watch just to make myself feel crazy? If we still did commercial films on movie night, I would suggest it during this next 6 weeks. They made a movie like celebrating the management formation of FIFA.
Oh, really? Yeah. I did.
Oh, yeah. You didn't know that?
No.
Oh, yeah. No, it portrays them as like, wild kids with a dream riding bicycles in Paris. FIFA will call it. Like it looks like the worst thing ever. Well, they'd have to be a horrible organization to decide to partner with this administration at this moment on a freaking World Cup. Like what? Oh, so you didn't hear about all the ICE detentions and people getting sent to torture dungeons? Oh, well, it would be a really good idea. Let's have the world's greatest international sports tournament in that fucking psycho country. Wow, that's a good idea. Just to even decide to do that, you'd have to be a horrible organization. You're subjecting everyone involved in that tournament to possible detention and harassment by a government that has clearly gone full nativist fascist. How do you put your own people in that position, much less the fans? Plus what they're charging, which that has nothing to do with this administration. That's just them.
Right.
People can't even afford to see it. Who's it for at that point if people can't afford to go to the games?
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, FIFA has notoriously been, an awful organization. They had a bunch of charges brought against several of their
I remember that,
members. It was like 10 years ago. Like standard corruption shit. Wire fraud, racketeering, and that kind of thing. But I mean, the Board of Peace stuff is just on another level. I mean, that is just beyond, run of the mill corporate corruption. I mean, that is just absolutely depraved. And so, not crying any tears for FIFA, of course. But to me, the amazing thing is that this thing starts in 2 days. And like, I forgot about it. I assumed it started in a few weeks. Like on Thursday's show, the games are going to be going on. Like, it's crazy how close we are to this. And you're seeing very little made of it. I think this really speaks to, just like what was the story that we just did where, we came to the conclusion that, people were just not really feeling the jingoism now. Was some sort of cultural story that we did. I forget what the specifics was, but I think the same thing is kind of setting in here. I think people are just not really very excited to give America a showcase.
The 250th anniversary.
Oh, yeah, right. They're right. The Freedom 250, right. The fact that we're not seeing much fanfare about that.
Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I swear to God, literally, the only thing I've seen is a sticker they put on the window of Chase Bank.
Yeah, exactly. So the fact that people are not excited about that, I think there's a similar sort of exhaustion driving the sort of apathy towards this. I don't think people are really feeling that America is really up for a showcase at this moment. And, Freedom 250 people are driving in from Nebraska. Here you got people flying in from all over the world. And, I mean, we're going to start seeing stories about people at the airport having a tough time getting in. I mean, it's inevitable. It's inevitable. So we will be covering this over the next few weeks, that's for sure. All right, we'll move right along here. Eric Rousseau, Chia Pet Ben Shapiro lost his mind over Massie. Yeah, well, he's done a couple of USS Liberty episodes, right? I think we've covered some of them. I think we've covered a couple of them. Loans are fun, says Wall Street Journal admits DPRK economy booming.
Is that true?
Victory. Is that what they say?
Is that true? Xi is there now, right?
Oh, he's there?
Yeah, so he just pledged his support.
Oh. Eric Rousseau, when will the AI replace Congress? Yeah, good question. Mark Pugliese, I still say that what the IDF has done in real life has been far worse than any blood libel. Yes, of course. Of course. Right of Resistance says, make a coalition with IDF soldiers and ICE agents. They know how to organize. What is the difference between them and the American military? I mean, we've answered this question before. If you can't take yes from an answer from a disillusioned veteran, then all right. I mean, that's fine. Then you can leave that on the table. That's fine. That's your choice. That's on you. That's your choice. And I know we got some comments. He's not a disillusioned veteran. So he took that contractor gig because he was an underemployed. I mean, the guy clearly is a fucked up. I mean, he's clearly a nut. I mean, I'm not saying Graham Plattner is a squeaky clean or anything. It's clearly a fucking nut. I mean, he's clearly a kid from privilege and found himself this sort of unemployed, sort of directionless, lost soul. And so he heard that this contracting firm was hiring basically the shell of what Blackwater was.
Right.
And he can basically go there and, chauffeur people to and from the embassy and get paid a decent salary. So he did it, and then he quit after 6 months. So is he an anti-imperialist firebrand? No, he's he's saying we should have nothing to do with Israel. And if you don't think there's a difference between that and Susan Collins or Janet Mills, who's the AIPAC candidate, then you're free to make that choice. If you can't get past that, then that's a judgment you're free to make. Like I've made my point about this. I have nothing more to say about it.
I also really
and notice we have not. One more thing. Sorry. We just like when Mamdani was running, have we advised people have we put his campaign website on the screen? Have we told people where the next rally is? Have we urged people to go donate? No, it's just we cover these things and we have opinions about them and we let you know what they are. And when the Zionist lobby comes at Graham Plattner with such an obvious, blatant, dishonest smear campaign, we defend him against it just as we did Thomas Massie. Simple as that.
Right, which we didn't get.
Which we didn't get this shit for. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, that's the funny part. So my question to these questions is really this: you explain to me what your goals are, like what you're doing on a practical level, not in an abstract way. You explain to me what better option is on the table to possibly throw a wrench in the genocide machine than to send a guy that they clearly don't want there, who would actually be able to filibuster into the Senate. Explain to me what your better plan is. I want to know. Explain it to me. Explain it to me, because this is something I'll get into more when I do my China special. On the one hand, going to countries that have had these successful communist revolutions, you could say it's radicalizing in a sense, and in another sense, it's not. Because once you go and you see what they've done and you see how they did it, and then you come back here, what you realize is this country is so far from that happening, you might as well be living in the Middle Ages. It's not going to happen. Not any time in the foreseeable future in this country. So then you got to ask yourself, well, are you going to stand in the way of harm reduction? Like literally stand in the way of it. As Keaton said, we're not like putting up Graham Plattner signs and, hey guys, get out there to the big Graham Plattner ride. We're not doing that. But the whole assumption that I think a lot of people with this issue have is that there's something that they're going to accomplish that way, and you're not. You're actually not. Now, I'm not saying that you can't put that energy into mutual aid, into education, as the communists in both China and Vietnam did for a century before they had a successful revolution. You really believe in the shit you're talking about? All right, man. Educate people, work with groups to spread that education, and maybe in 100 years you'll have that in this country. If it seems like the real issue is you want some kind of instant gratification of signaling that these people are not good enough for you, and honestly, they're not good enough for me. But in the end, what's your objective? What are you trying to actually do?
Yeah, and I think the instant gratification.
Your family's not getting murdered by the IDF. Like, it's very easy for you to say, nah, you know what? Not good enough. Okay.
Yeah,
what if that were your family? What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think no matter what your end goal is, I think the dynamic of instant gratification is something that kind of has permeated the online space. And the other thing that I would just posit to people is this thing. We've talked about this online. And I think we mentioned it briefly on the air in one of the segments or something like that. As people have become radicalized and educated and versed in theories that they didn't know existed until they became red-pilled or activated or mobilized or whatever lingo you want to use, as much as people really feel like they've been liberated and that they are on the path to a more utopian future because they've undergone this great political awakening. As there's been this great political awakening, what in the real world has actually happened to usher that in? The answer is absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. The online left has fuck all to show for itself in real life. You have a lot to show for yourself on your Twitter feed. You can trace your evolution into a more enlightened person in your online profiles. But name one concrete real-world victory that this supposed movement has actually brought into fruition in the real world. There's been none. And that is largely a function of the fact that these platforms have created the illusion of community. where no community actually exists. You need community to do things in the real world. You can't do things by yourself in the real world. And I think these social media platforms have created a sort of pseudo community where people feel like because they're conversing with each other that things are materializing. Nothing is actually materializing. Name one thing. Go ahead. Name one.
Well, that's it. And when you say things like this, you get some people who will get angry, but they have no answer to it.
Right.
Like they have no answer. Like, that's really cynical. Okay, well, maybe it is. All right, so give me an answer. Like, explain to me what your alternative is to what I'm saying. Explain that to me, right? How are you going to accomplish something better? Like to the point that you feel confident knocking off Graham Plattner or trying to knock off Graham Plattner. Like, explain to me what you're offering that gives you that confidence that that's the right thing to do.
Right. ZP says, did you guys watch the RTSG video I recommended? No, I did not. I meant to, but I confess it did slip my mind. If you have it and you can email it to us, then shoot us an email, because then I'll have a link. Otherwise, I'm just relying on memory to remember to look something up. Some paid by a country to diss you. Thank you, SnorkY2K. Nina can't. Angry Proles, a little butthurt. Try some deep breathing and pillow fighting.
No. You know why I got that strong a reaction? Because he's been going into our comments and like dropping the same comment on everybody's comment about how bad we are.
About we're bad. Wrong Eye Jesus by Jim White, the awesomest album of 1997. See, I don't know that one. I'll have to look up that one. Keaton, if you borrow a filthy Men's Warehouse suit, I'll send $50 for a whiny Levin-inflected recitation of Massie's U.S. Liberty floor speech. $100 if you grow side locks and do a shtetl dance. Ha! Good one. I'll have to think about that. It's an enticing offer. It's a good offer, I'll tell you. Anticus, I'd like to pre-blame Trump for all the brain damage from people slapping their own foreheads. Ha, good one. Rootsy Vibes, America welcoming patrons to our fascist culture. Thank you for that. Mark Pugliese, I posted on Facebook that they should boycott the games because they're refusing to allow the Iranian team to stay in the U.S. overnight. Yeah, so a perfect example. So how is that logistically going to work? What if they advance far into the tournament? You're going to have these players flying in and out of the country every day, crossing the border into Canada, coming back in whenever they have a game? Like, it's not going to work. Like, it's not workable. Consider this a warm-up for the LA Olympics in 2028. Well, this is that on steroids because they're all over the country. You have different venues at different cities all over the country. At least if it's localized, there's some way to maintain some kind of order. This is just going to be a total free-for-all. How cruel is that pouring a cup of water? I thought water was being denied in Gaza. Yep. Well, that was AI, Nina. Those are the wonders of AI. Goo81, don't forget Israel used Gaza soccer stadiums as makeshift prisons and were stripping down seniors and children. Also massacred a majority of the Palestinian team. And that's right, we remember that. Devanes are still looking for an Asian hate segment. I heard about this Mongolian Jew from New York that's on Rumble. As a lonely white male, I'm a big fan of Keaton and still waiting on his solo OnlyFans. That's right. Goo81, recently Israel arrested with no charges 3 young female Palestinian soccer players in the West Bank from a university dorm room next week. You are on top of these stories, Goo81. Thank you. Hey, guys, I'm working on a high-quality pun. Just need a couple more days. Prepare to be impressed. All right. Thank you. We will wait for that. The interview from the Palestinian soccer president was based on why he did not hug it out with Israel. The president supported the genocide as well, and he said, we are victims, we're not equals. Goo81, funny thing regarding FIFA desperation, I ordered DoorDash, and they said, congrats, you entered to get World Cup tickets that I did not sign up for that or entered any contest with DoorDash. Yeah, no, they put you on, they'll update a term or condition where you consent to that, right? Furrow Squeen, Fire Dancer, says, I'm starting to think that everything's a scam and everything's a lie. Everything seems to be hypocrisy. Should I carry on being compliant? Just throwing this random thought into the ether. Lastly, says Goo, FIFA World Cup not popular in Canada either as they are not being sold out. Montreal was supposed to host games, but FIFA said you can't have any other event like yearly F1. So Montreal said, go F yourself. In Vancouver, we do have a large Skid Row and opioid problem, but per game, because World Cup costing the city $628 million to host games. Wow. Holy shit. Holy shit. All right. We got one more segment on the day. Want to hop to it?
Okay. The New York Times interviewed recently unemployed Scott Pelley about his experience at 60 Minutes, why he departed after being there since 1989, unwillingly, I might add. So this is part of what he had to say here.
Hope is that the leadership of Paramount will say to themselves, okay, this isn't working. We have broadcasts that almost don't get on the air. We have respected journalists saying that there is a thumb on the scale for one political party over another. We have a broadcast which is among the most important in America, the most successful in the history of all of television. It was doing great. So why are we making these changes? We need adult supervision. And at the moment, we don't have it. We have people who've been installed in these jobs who, through no fault of their own, have no experience in television. It's not their fault. But they don't know what they're doing. And there's a subtle political bias that I've never seen at 60 Minutes before. And so, or at CBS News before. And so that is my hope, a return to sanity, a return to honor, a return to courage. We used to have all of those things in abundance, and now we don't. We can save this. It's possible to land this plane, but right now, CBS News, in my view, is on fire.
Okay. I just want to say, before we go too far into this segment, I checked out of corporate media over 10 years ago. A lot of people I respect have no respect for Scott Pelley, and I'm sure they're right. There's a reason I checked out of corporate media. 60 Minutes, I probably have a more positive impression of, because the only time I've ever checked into 60 Minutes is when they've done a good story worth taking a look at. I don't see what they do week after week. I'm sure there were Russiagate stories there. I'm sure on COVID they ruled out of bounds ivermectin, this guy. I'm sure they did that. I mean, these seem to be the kinds of things I'm seeing people say. So, this is not in any way meant to suggest CBS was a bastion of unbiased journalism, as he's suggesting here, but nor are the people that are trying to move in. I would argue this cure is worse than whatever disease CBS might have had. And I do get the impression from what I've seen and from what people say that 60 Minutes was better than most in terms of doing straight investigative journalism. And that is probably why in a collapsing media, 60 Minutes was up 9% before the Ellison takeover. So they must have been doing something that was appealing to a wider audience. And maybe that's what it was, because it seems like more people trusted 60 Minutes than any other institution from the legacy media of that kind. I think that's incontrovertible. But yeah, who took over? Who took over? Like, even if you want to make the case that something needed to be fixed, I always use the most recent. This is from the Free Press's YouTube site today. 6.8 thousand, 17,000. Schellenberger over here, 16,000, 7.8 thousand. I mean, we do better generally than the Free Press, and nobody knows who the fuck we are. They're not writing articles about us all the time. how bad do you have to be to get as much unearned media as they get, and still nobody wants to watch it? And particularly given that your niche is a very online niche for the kind of politics that you're peddling, and you still can't sell it. I always, some people say, well, it's really a Substack. Well, if you look at the Substack, I mean, what was this? This is the front page from today. 16 likes, 19 likes. Their big one here is Sam Harris. What is that? They got like 600 over there. It's kind of small. Down there, 103 likes. So yeah, they don't do much on the Substack either. Like if that's their flagship, that's pretty piss poor flagship. So the argument that they were brought in to fix CBS is ridiculous on the face of it. If that's really what they were trying to do, they would not have hired people who failed at what they were doing and had no experience in news. So insofar as that goes, he's correct. I think probably signaling that CBS was a perfectly objective news outlet is greatly overstating it. So here he is talking about how he didn't see it coming that they were going to fire him.
Really didn't occur to you that you could be fired after so many of your colleagues had been let go, after you'd had this, very contentious interaction with your new boss?
Some reporter I turned out to be. I just didn't connect the dots. I mean, was this meeting contentious? Yes, but 60 Minutes is known for two things: a ticking stopwatch and hard questions. And we ask ourselves those hard questions in the shop because they sharpen us and make us better. There was a screening once with Mike Wallace, and Mike and the executive producer and founder of 60 Minutes, Don Hewitt, got into a big argument about a script. Wallace jumps up in the middle of the screening, throws his script up in the air, and yells at Don, "Well, then you write the effing thing." One of those pieces of paper comes down and slices an associate producer across the face. He's bleeding now. He's got a paper cut.
Yes, one might say Mike Wallace cut a bitch
on his face. That was about a story. The meeting that I was in was about whether 60 Minutes was going to even survive or not.
So you walk in, and what was the energy of the room?
Hostile. Dismissive. Before I could take my seat, Tom Sobrowski said, "This is a firing offense." I was confused. I wasn't sure who he was talking about in the room. But it became plain very quickly that they were talking about me, and they were unhappy about the meeting that had occurred. A meeting that had ended in thunderous applause for me, if I may say so, because somebody had stood up for the broadcast.
All right. Now, interestingly and somewhat surprisingly, Katie Couric did an interview where she basically said, in essence, I don't really disagree with what he said, but of course you were going to get fired. What did you think would happen?
I am really astounded by the mess that has been created at 60 Minutes. On the other hand, to say Scott Pelley's tirade and expressions of anger and frustration, which I totally understand and relate to, were extremely impolitic, I think is also a massive understatement. And I don't think that Barry Weiss had any choice but to let Scott Pelley go. I mean, I think it's a classic definition of insubordination, and I'm not saying that I don't agree with Scott.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that. Like, if I did what he reportedly did, I would do it as like under the assumption that I'm going to get fired for this, and I'm going down with principle. So I don't know why I guess he assumed that he's such an institution that they wouldn't fire him. But with this crew, why would you think that? Like, their whole shtick is they want to get rid of all of you and, give, Schellenberger your job. Like, why would you think they're not going to use any excuse, actually, that you handed them to get rid of you? So here, this was kind of interesting. He was asked about accusations of bias at CBS.
What was the feeling about that particular opening salvo to the team?
She, I am told, said something to the effect of, why do you think the country thinks you're biased? But she didn't offer any kind of a metric. What's your metric? Why do you think so? Do you have a poll? Is there market research? What are you talking about? Because we certainly didn't believe that.
Okay, so, he's right and he's wrong. Like, when people accuse news outlets like 60 Minutes of bias, these are usually people who are very comfortable with bias as long as it's bias in favor of their opinions.
Right.
So, yeah, sure. If you look at people's opinions, Democrats trust Fox News 19%. Republicans and lean Republicans 56%. Now, I got to say, when you look at these kinds of breakdowns, I feel like they always bury the lead. For me, the lead here is that only 56% of Republicans trust Fox News, right? Like if you look at the numbers, most people actually don't really, or a very slim majority of people in these categories trust them, right? Like, it's not overwhelmingly people trust their favored news. ABC, 61% with Democrats. NBC is 60. CNN is 58. Now, surprisingly, I couldn't find numbers specifically for 60 Minutes, which I'm pretty positive would score better than CBS News specifically. But CBS News came in at the bottom at 56. If I had to guess why that is, this is before the Ellison takeover. This is March 2025. It's probably because it's the least watched. I would think that's what, it's not really a reflection on them being more left than anybody else. It's probably just that less of the Democrats they asked watch CBS. But yeah, man, I mean, if you look at people who are just trying to find a place where it fits in American political spectrum definitions, I looked at a few of those. They tend to place CBS at center left, which by American definitions is probably true of the corporate media, and I want to make that distinction because that means anywhere else in the Western world, it would be pretty far to the right. Only in America would what these corporate media channels present be considered center left. They're neoliberal. Their politics are neoliberal. So for someone like Barry Weiss in particular, that's your better argument to be asking about bias. Oh yeah, Miss, well, the starving children in Gaza were sick already. She's really concerned about bringing unbiased news to CBS. Right? Like, your argument is not, I think, there was no bias, but the bias tends to be in the eye of the beholder. So this is probably the part that's gotten the most play. Describing how they leaned on them to cover the killing of Renee Good.
Barry Weiss sends an email to my boss, Tanya Simon. Two of the things in the email include, can we make the protesters look more violent? Now, I'm paraphrasing. I don't have the quote, but that's what was communicated to me. And the other thing was Renee Good's car. You need to describe her as driving toward the officer. This is not what you see on the video. On the video, you see the officer standing slightly off the front of the car, and you clearly see Miss Good's wheels turned completely as far as they will go, away from the officer. But he shoots her in the head, kills her, and says something about her in that moment that I can't repeat in polite company. So we have gone out of our way in our plan from the very beginning to show the protesters for the responsibility that they had. We had already scrubbed the video archives looking for those scenes, but it somehow wasn't enough for Ms. Weiss. The video showed that the officer wasn't standing in front of the car and she wasn't driving toward him, but that's what the president said about that, and that's the way she wanted it described.
Okay, now whatever you think of Scott Pelley, I believe every word of that.
Oh, of course.
Because it's completely consistent with other stories like the Seacott story that have come out of CBS, and it's completely consistent with what Barry Weiss was put there to do, which was to turn the network into IDF and Trump administration propaganda. That's literally why she was hired.
Yeah, her entire politics is innocent people who get murdered somehow deserve it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you could say that's conservative politics in general. It's not much of a leap.
Yeah.
Emily,
she's not alone.
I dated a girl whose father was a prosecutor in the Justice Department, and this was terrifying. She told me that he used to tell her, if you got arrested, you were guilty of something.
Right. Wow.
There's the mentality of these people. Emily Jasinski, imploring people who have reasonable concerns about the direction of CBS not to credulously elevate the claims of someone like Scott Pelley, who helped run the network and industry into the ground. Now, this is Emily Jasinski, who was actually very credibly giving oxygen to the idea that there's a white genocide in South Africa. So any claims that she's to be taken seriously, I dismiss out of hand. But here's Tommy Viator responding. Try 30 seconds of Googling before you tweet. Pelley didn't run CBS or work on the business side. He was the most important anchor on its most important show, 60 Minutes. 60's ratings were up 9% last season. That's unheard of in this era, and made nearly $70 million in ad revenue in 2025. And she responds quite dishonestly, dude, I'm saying he's a biased hack, not that he has good ratings. Well, no, you made a business argument. That's not what you said. What you said is he's running the network and industry into the ground.
Right,
well, you really can't make that argument when this was one of the only successful news shows in the entire industry actually gaining at a time when the rest of the industry is collapsing. So no, you cannot put that on him. And then somebody asked Grok how CBS is doing under Barry Weiss. The evening news consistently is below 4 million viewers recently, multiple weeks at historic lows. April 2026 was the second lowest April this century in total viewers and lowest in the key 25 to 54 demo, down significantly from prior years. It was 5.4 million average under previous anchors. CBS Mornings, worst first quarter and lowest April on record. 60 Minutes, held stronger, still top rated news program, up 9%, pre-changes. Episodes 10 million. But the Weiss-led overhaul firings and new EP appointment, executive producer, are too recent, late May 2026, for clear post-change trends. So the idea that Jasinski and many others want to put out there that this has anything to do with improving the business fortunes of CBS, it's fucking absurd. It's very obvious everything that they're doing is designed to restructure it as a propaganda network. And because Ellison's money comes from Oracle, he's fine with that. Just like Elon is fine with X losing money. It's a very valuable propaganda tool for them. And at that point, it's a cost of doing business, just like advertising. Advertising doesn't directly pay you money, but it's part of your overall strategy for making money. Part of that lobbying doesn't directly give you money when you pay lobbyists, but it tends to wind up putting money in your pocket in a roundabout way by controlling the government, by controlling the conversation. Ellison doesn't give a shit if it loses money. CBS Evening News ratings revealed after shocking 60 Minutes firing. So we don't have the 60 Minutes numbers, but we do have some post-firing numbers for CBS overall. Now, CBS was already down, as we saw from that Grok summary. According to Adweek, citing national live plus same-day big data plus program ratings from Nielsen, CBS Evening News with Tony Dokapil averaged 3.787 million total viewers and 493,000 viewers in the coveted adults 25 to 54 demo for the week of May 25th. Compared to the previous week, the show was down 6% in total viewers and down 19% in the demo. Okay. So of course, this is not about improving business. Anyone with half a brain could have told you this was going to cause the collapse of what ratings they have. But here's rabid Zionist Bill Maher trying to tell you that, it's just new management. Suck it up. It's just new management. Nothing to see here.
I just don't think being a 60 Minutes correspondent is that hard. I don't feel like Scott Pelley was a national treasure. Companies change hands all the time. I never liked them, sorry, I just never did. Companies change hands. People bring in their own people, their new ownership. Just because something changes doesn't mean. I feel like we see everything through such a partisan lens. Oh my God, 60 Minutes has a new cast. So does Saturday Night Live.
Oh, yeah, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. So what's he not telling you? What's he not telling you? He's not telling you that the new owner is the largest private donor to the IDF and describes Israel as his country.
What is your connection to Israel?
Well, the renewal of the Jewish state is something that I think touches all of us. For 2,000 years, we were a stateless people. And now we have a country of our own, defended by all the brave men and women of the IDF. So anything we can do to support them who, devote their lives for preserving the state of Israel.
All right. So you've got a new owner at a major news network who sees Israel as his country, who has gone on a rampage of buying up media and social media, including TikTok, in order to openly, explicitly suppress anti-Zionist content. And he put somebody in charge, who Glenn Greenwald has been on this beat for a long time, who has been trying to cancel people with a critique of Israel since she was in college. Her entire life, she has been trying to suppress criticism of the Israeli state.
Since The Intercept was good, she's been at this call.
Since Glenn was happy at The Intercept.
Since The Intercept was worth reading, that's how long she's been at this.
That's how long she's been at this. No television experience. They create a position for her that did not exist. There had never been an editor-in-chief at CBS. And her rag was a total failure, except in its ability to peddle pro-oligarch, pro-Zionist narratives that got her seed money from the likes of Mark Andreessen. It succeeded in that way. So here's Glenn responding actually to Jasinski. I think what Larry Ellison and his boy Air are doing, buying as many entertainment, news, and social platforms as they can to turn them into propaganda outlets for a foreign country, and secondarily for Trump, is dangerous in the extreme. But we don't have to rehabilitate or cheer the pompous politicized corporate journalists like Scott Pelley and Leslie Stahl, who have destroyed faith and truth in media with their rotted behavior. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I agree. But as Glenn acknowledges, that's restoring objectivity to journalism is the furthest thing from their mind. Is quite the opposite. They want to openly cheerlead for a certain kind of politics. This kind of IDW/MAGA the glorious West versus the barbarian infidels, all centered on the need to defend Israel. She wants to turn it into the free press. The free press failed commercially. Ellison's not a dumb guy. Unlike most of his fellow oligarchs, he actually came up from under. He's a self-made guy. He's not stupid. He knows that this moron is not going to bring money into the network. He doesn't care. The point is to flood the zone and shut down another pathway by which dissent can be expressed. And on that level, he's succeeding very well.
Well, yeah. And, Barry Weiss is, essentially a lib, as a lot of these IDW people are, right? What's the phrase?
Right.
Scratch a liberal and a fascist bleeds, right? They'll always side with fascists in the end if given a choice between fascism and something to their left.
Yep.
And you see that in really, really clearly in a story like this. Do you believe that Barry Weiss honestly thinks that the killing of Renee Good was a justified kill? You think Barry Weiss really believes that was a justified shot? I guarantee you she does not.
A lesbian.
I guarantee a lesbian, a fellow
lesbian on top of you.
Exactly.
On top
of it.
We know she's perfectly happy to throw her own people under the bus. She went up at a conservative conference and said, "I know a lot of you don't approve of my marriage, but you're my people.
You're my people. You're my people." Yeah. I mean, I don't think she's a stupid I mean, you have to be you basically have to be just a rabid ideologue in order to look at that and say that that was a justified shooting. And even they don't believe that. I don't believe for a second that Benny Johnson thinks that was a justified shooting. I don't believe anybody looks at that and says it was a justified shooting. People who are saying they think that way are fucking liars. And so do we think Barry Weiss thinks that? No. But you see how willing they are to just side with a far-right program if that's the cost of protecting Israel. And this is why people, talk about I think dual loyalty is too kind a word. These people are loyal to Israel above all else and to the exclusion of whatever else is necessary. They only care about Israel. Mark Levin only cares about Israel. Mark Levin doesn't give a shit about this country. Neither does Barry Weiss. Neither does Ben Shapiro. So I think dual loyalty is too kind a term for people like her. And this is perfect evidence of that. You don't think Barry Weiss understands the problem with sending people to CCOT without any kind of due process or anything? Of course she does. But if Donald Trump is Israel's best friend, then he's Barry Weiss's best friend by extension. And it's as simple as that. And Larry Ellison's best friend by extension, for that matter. A guy for whom money is no option. Money is no object. The profit motive is not a concern of his for his news division, right? So, they say, the news used to be a loss leader, and that provided incentive to play it down the middle. Well, here you get a perverted version of that where the news can be a loss leader, so why not just make it say what we want? Economic consequences be damned.
Yes.
All right. We'll take our remaining chats and rants, and then we'll close the lights for today. Vienticus says, per disclose.tv, just in, Iran shoots down a U.S. Apache helicopter patrolling the Strait of Hormuz last night. Trump says the U.S. must respond to this attack. That just happened? I'll have to look at that. Goo says same people who say I don't like Plattner because he's a former soldier and he is awful are the same people who Fetterman was a progressive and probably told people to vote for him. It's interesting. I've seen people make the opposite argument as well, that Plattner is another Fetterman, which I don't think is a fair comparison either. Turk Yurdu, rather than political, we need an overall awakening. Well, yes, revolution of consciousness.
You're right.
E.O. Shush says Frederick Douglass's famous quote, "I would unite with anyone to do right and with nobody to do wrong, unless it's the Lib Democrats who to right be trying to stop a genocide." Fuck those guys. Yeah. Exactly. Grandpa Caligula breaking. United States hopes the FIFA tournament serves as dry run for its long-awaited reenactment of the 1936 Olympics. Freddie X, what was that series you were talking about? Cum Diaries or something? No, Cum Town was a podcast with Nick Mullen and Stavros Halkias and Adam Friedland. And it was great. It was great. And they're all three doing their own things now. But they discontinued that, I think 4 years ago or something. I discovered that podcast when I was driving delivery. And just listened to that while I was making the deliveries. It was so fucking funny. I had the car pretty loud. I had them on and I was making a delivery, and I handed the person their food, and I went back to the car and I restarted the ignition, and for some reason I had the volume on really loud. So as this very mild-mannered woman is picking up her food, I turned the car on. And, they're right in the middle of some bit where I told him he could suck my fucking dick. That's what I have blaring from the speakers without realizing it. Dendrobates, that was a good quality dialogue. Can you guys stop? I don't watch for quality. I watch for slop. If I wanted quality, I'd watch Dave Rubin. Thank you, Dendrobates. Appreciate that. Right of Resistance. So why keep making podcasts if it doesn't change anything for another 100 years? Are you waiting for a change to come to you so you can vote it? And then you follow up. Hold on, let me just read this up because there's a follow-up. I just put these because I didn't want this to go on for 12 minutes. Just be open about it. Your show is not meant to challenge the perspective of Americans. It is just a hobby that you do while you wait for a miracle. I would posit to you that is projection, my friend. I think making comments like that is a hobby of yours while you wait for a miracle. Who's the one waiting for a miracle here? Isn't that what Russell was just saying that you're doing? You're waiting for a mass movement to arise all at once. That's not forming.
Yeah, and I think you're misinterpreting what I said completely. I'm making a point that go organize, educate, understand how long-term a project that is. That's my point that you don't seem to be hearing. I think you should work towards that. I think that's very noble. What I'm saying is the idea that you're anywhere near the verge of actually enacting a revolution, you're not. Okay, so once you realize that, are you going to do what the Vietnamese did and organize for 100 years? That's what they did. That's literally what they did. These guys were literally hiding communist literature in shit buckets at the Hanoi Hilton. Are you going to do that? Are you going to do that? You don't even have to do what they did. Are you just going to help organize mutual aid in your community and educate about a different economic system? Or are you just going to complain online that people are saying, well, given that we're not in a revolutionary circumstance or a revolutionary environment, maybe if you can send somebody who's going to filibuster, not sending more aid to kill Palestinians, maybe you don't tear them down.
Right, exactly.
That's it. We're not campaigning for the guy. But again, and this is something, I keep saying it, and it's very telling that you get these comments, but nobody wants to answer my question. Explain to me what your plan is. Tell me. I want to know. Explain. Maybe I'm wrong. Explain to me what you are going to do that is going to actuate a revolutionary change of the kind that we all want. Explain to me what you're going to do. Don't just cry. Oh, when you said the thing that I didn't like it. Shut up. What are you going to do? Do not comment anymore on this unless it is with an actionable plan.
And challenging perspectives is what we do online.
Right.
It's on the computer, you know.
Well, and
It's on the
also, I
computer.
feel if you do want to build something like this, you need places to gather and have these conversations and sharpen your arguments. Why do you think I'm reading all this about the Congress for Cultural Freedom? Because coming out of culture, I feel like I have a specific contribution to make in learning about that so that I can make that argument to other people who are in culture who don't even realize how much they are a product of a decades-long successful effort to make artists into completely irrelevant virtue signaling morons doing work detached from class. So yeah, I do feel like I have a purpose. But as much as we have a negative attitude towards Sanders now, I always say this. I will give that campaign a lot of credit for changing the way I looked at politics. Because, yeah, I had main character syndrome, like a lot of people do. And I think a lot of people feel like if they can't personally change everything, there's no point in getting engaged. And that's not what politics is. You do what you can. I mean, that's solidarity. That's collective action. You do what you can in your corner. But that doesn't mean that we should be going up on this show and blowing smoke up your ass, like a lot of people will, right? Just to get you to watch. We're not going to blow smoke up your ass. The truth is, if this country were to collapse tomorrow, it would collapse into fascism, not socialism. That is what would happen at this moment. You got to look those things in the face, and you got to think about what your priorities are and what you're trying to do.
Yeah. And that has become increasingly obvious over the past year or so. I think that's completely obvious. Absolutely. There's no question about it. You saw it. That's why I keep referring to this. I hate to be a broken record on this. You saw that in the wake of the Charlie Kirk shooting, just how ready the oligarchs were to instigate a real civil war. They were like, we cannot coexist with these people anymore. And so that tells you everything you need to know. That to me tells you everything you need to know. And the only thing in the way of that is community and solidarity. So people saying, well, you're not telling people what to do. We went to St. Louis. We did a project on the Uhuru movement.
Yep.
We're putting that out later this year.
Right.
It's a very, very big project.
We're very supportive of their approach. Do you see them grandstanding online?
No, you don't see them grandstanding online. You know what they're doing?
They're too busy doing the work.
Yeah, they're growing vegetables. They're getting public health clinics, not public, their health clinics that they organize, free health clinics organized. They're renovating apartments so that people who get out of jail have a place to stay where they get up on their feet. They're building basketball courts so that kids in these very underserved and neglected communities have a productive way to spend their time. That's what you can do. Go fix up a house. Go volunteer with Habitat for Humanity or something. There's less emotional gratification in that if the emotional gratification of chest pounding online is more your thing. And that's why a lot of people don't do it. Me Shoot Skeets. Thanks for the super sticker. Appreciate that. Nocturnal Human. I just want to say your point about not being too online is very important. Rumble chat is the only social media I'm on and basically just your show. I definitely feel a lot more optimistic. Well, that's good. I mean, we should be the only one. Yeah, if you're going to spend time with anybody... Spend it here.
Well, and hey, this is also why I'm reading scripts to do a show in the fall, because I feel like that's something I can do. Get people in the same room.
Right.
Build a sense of community. But I do that with the understanding what I want to see, I'm not going to live to see.
Right. Exactly. And that's why, not to preach fertility, but that's why, having kids connects you to the future in that way, because whether you live to see it or not doesn't matter to you when you have kids.
Right.
They'll live to see it. And so it's worth fighting for because you are connected to the future in that way, And so, and this is another problem. This is why I've considered doing a family values for the left book, because that is really very politically constructed. I mean, I think it's good for you in other ways, but that's not for me to preach. Family connects you to the future where you are forced to reckon with, okay, I can do what I can. Right. And if I don't live to see utopia, Maybe my kids will, or maybe their kids will. You know what I mean? Vienticus Prime. Ellison is getting his fingers into all forms of media. Just look at that non-video game mixtape. It was basically an interactive movie that journos labeled the best video game. I think it would be prudent to point out that these people don't give a shit about the people of Israel either, just the land and the state. Apparently, there wasn't enough goy slop on this stream because the moth of my ceiling got bored and left. The goy moth. Ha, good one. For me, why do I need to be told what to do? Why do I need someone else's solutions? If someone wants to offer one, fine. But you see, I got this thing called a brain. Dendrobate says, don't know if you guys covered it, but if SpaceX IPO opens up at the expected value, Elon will become a trillionaire. Scary thought. Yes, indeed. That is a scary thought. All right, folks. Well, that is our show. Appreciate you so much for being here. If you're watching on YouTube, you can stay tuned. You will be redirected to a premiere, the countdown of which is in progress right now. So ain't that good timing. Thanks, everybody, very much for being here. Thanks to the YouTubers and the Rumblers and the mods for keeping the peace in the chat. We'll see you back here Thursday, 12 p.m. Eastern. Until then, thanks very much for hanging out with us this afternoon. Be safe and be well.
Courage!
Please clap.